Greetings, everyone. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. Just give me a moment. Greetings to all of you. Just a moment, because I'm just sharing this. So, greetings. This Sunday I kept it a little late. Okay. I was listening to a very nice song actually today. Song of Kabir. I don't know if you'd like to hear it, but surely I'd like to talk about it. Yes. So, I'm done. So, good. Updates are direct now. I'm able to go directly here. Greetings to you here on YouTube also and on Facebook here. Okay, so today the question we asked ourselves here is what prevents us from realizing the ultimate? I would like to begin this. I would like to begin this with your own suggestions or your own answers. What do you think prevents us from realizing the ultimate? Ultimate, I mean, even our own self. The ultimate and the self is not different. The Paramatman and the Jivatman is not different. What you call as God and what you call as self or soul is not different. They are all the same. So, realizing the self is realizing the ultimate or realizing God, or realizing God is realizing the self or the soul, whichever ways you take it. Kabir Das was there, one great enlightened being, Kabir. He used to move around everywhere, just singing songs and awakening people just through songs. Beautiful tattva. His only work was to merge two realities, the Atman and the Paramatman. That's all. The self and the God. So he used to sing it in various formats, various number of songs in various formats. His whole intention was focused on just one thing, that people realize the self or people realize the God. So all his poems, if you see Kabir's poems, they relate to only telling you that you are not different from the God self. And his songs very deeply awaken the truths. So I would begin again by asking you only the question, what do you think prevents us from realizing the self or realizing the ultimate, the God? What do you think? Srijit says, Hari go. That's all, do you think? Because once you realize the ultimate, you're free. You're free. You're liberated. Liberated from all the clutches of this limited existence. Malaji says ignorance and lack of zest to find it out. Lack of zest to find it out is what prevents us from realizing the ultimate, he says. She says. Shriji says our vasanas are false identities. Very beautiful. So, in one way, we know what prevents us. Anitaji says too much of doing and not let go of the doing. Miraji says getting lost in doership, running after one desire after the other. Beautiful. So, in some way, we know. We know in some way. So, the question can be in two ways: what prevents us from realizing the ultimate? These answers, what you have given. The second question could be what prevents us from applying what we know. We are aware, right? Somewhere we are aware of some things which prevent us from meeting or knowing the ultimate. All that you said beautifully, doing, doership, okay? And then some says ignorance, some said ego, some said vasana, some said false identities, some said the lack of zest to find it. That one I keep it aside, but the rest all, if you see, it's all again gone to the ego. Everything, if you see vasanas, it comes from the ego. Vasanas come from the mind. Mind is the tool of the ego. Yeah, Punami says the mind, realizing the ultimate is the mind and our belief that I am this mind. Yeah, that is what Srijit says. The false identity that you identify with the mind or the ego and believe that that is real, then than the actual real you. I was now having just uh, an hour before having a personal session with a doctor again from Gujarat. So she was all for a long time, for many months. She was like, I want to do a session only on realizing that I'm not this. Something to realize that I'm aware. And I just want to have a first hand experience of this awareness. I've heard you speak so much. So last time we had done it in our clinic during our break time, and it was very hectic. So because it's all bound by the rules and time zones, we got to finish it in that time. So and she has a busy schedule, so she couldn't sign up for another one where we could actually do that. And finally it tumbled down and came down to today. So today we had that session, and she was lost. 40 minutes straight she was lost, because first time that she took the consultation, the questions were more on my mind, and unable to sit still, and unable to do anything with full attention. My children, the obsession with them that I have, my attachment to my children, and my worries for them, my constant stress for them, and the professional stress, the personal stress, and all these things were there. So it's all these are what are all this mind stuff. So it can be easily ascertained. The more you live in the mind, the more it's difficult to see anything that is beyond the mind. And what we are talking here is all beyond the mind. Beyond the mind and intellect, beyond logic. What we talk here is beyond logic. We are using this communication mode to speak. We are using logic and we are intellectualizing the subject so that you and me can understand. We can relate to it because we are intellectual beings. We are not so easy beyond the intellects. And that is the reason we are clinging on to so many things in this world. And that includes this communication also. We are using the intellect. We are bound by this because we tend to understand things by communication and analyzing and using the logic. So that's not a problem until we are using this as a tool, and from this intellect we are going into something that is beyond. So we are entering a zone that is beyond the mind and intellect, mind, intellect, ego, the antakarana, beyond this. So that's where the step, but the step needs to be taken by the ego, the intellectual, the mind. It begins from the mind, but it eventually transcends the mind. That's how we use this tool called mind, and that is one reason why we are given this mind. The humans who have this potential of realizing the whole and realizing the self needs the mind as a tool. The the being awakens through the mind, the being awakens through the ego, because everything, all the scriptures, all the gurus, all the teachings, all the tools, the methods, the techniques, everything works on the ego itself. It is given by one ego to the other ego. So it's all the work of logic itself. It's given from one logic to the other. The one who's giving it is intellectualizing it, the one who's receiving it is also intellectualizing it. So the platform used is the mind. But the whole idea, the whole game can go missing, the whole thing can go for a toss if you do not understand this one particular thing, that the tool is just a platform that I'm using, and using this tool I am going to transcend this tool. कांटे से ही कांटा निकलता है. If this much clarity comes very clearly, then the seeking will have power. Your seeking will thrust ahead. Like somebody said, the zest, what we are missing is the zest to find myself out, to realize the zest that is needed. That zest also will not come with a dull mind. If the mind is dull, the tool is inappropriate. The tool cannot be properly used, and one cannot transcend the tool. One will be still stuck with the tool. So, what see, I have done a lot of analysis of what I am doing all these years, all my whole lifetime. I do a lot of introspection, because without introspection, you are the dead body. You will not even know that you are dead. You will continue to be dead. Introspection awakens you and lets you know that, oh, something is missing, something is not happening, or I am lacking somewhere, or something is working for me, something is not working for me. Introspection, reflection of how much I have taken in, and how much these things are happening to me, how much these things are applicable, and if it is not applicable, why it is not applicable, why am I unable to apply. These are very practical questions in introspection, and until you are practical, it's very difficult to walk the path. Very, very difficult until you are practical. You got to be a very practical being. That is why I talk about practical spirituality. If you don't get into practicality, then you get into something called conditioned spirituality. It's just a conditioning. A condition has, or you have been spiritually conditioned to live a certain way, to think a certain way. A certain pattern has been inculcated over a period of time. You have built up certain patterns, and now you're a robot. You're a spiritual robot. You just live spiritually, robotically. There's nothing to question you. Only your intellect can question you. The introspection is done at the intellectual level. That is why intellectualization also is very important. Introspection and reflection is very important periodically, because that is how I have kept myself alive. That is when and how I have known if I'm dead or if I'm unconscious. There are times that we can live our whole life unconscious, completely unconscious, and not even know. The best catch is not even knowing that you're unconscious. That's the worst thing that can happen to you. Knowing your unconscious is still okay. You're still alive. But if you don't know that you're unconscious, you're dead. And you live a very dead life. Now, that is why when we talk about practicality and we talk about waking up, we wake up to the cunningness of the ego and the mind. Very clearly, we wake up to the cunning mind. And there people run away because the ego can't bear to destroy itself. Ego means survival. अच्छे अच्छे घिसते रहते अपनी पूरे, their bottoms are scrubbed off. In spirituality nothing happens, because when it comes to working on the mind and ego, they pull back. That is why जब ऐसे बातें सुनते हैं जो खटकती है, some truths when spoken, especially I see this, see a lot of triggers all the time around me, and whoever comes in my vicinity find it very hard. They love to be in my company, but the moment they come in my company, they see that when to flee from here. And sometimes they're caught up with me so much that they get burnt. What do they get burnt? The mind burns. But the stink of that burning mind is so horrible, and people just flee. What do I mean by people fleeing? Nobody wants their ego to be burnt. Ego doesn't mean that, pride. I'm not talking about it. Ego just means a bunch of all the stupid ideas that we have gathered from here and there of what we are, of what we think we are. We have a certain belief systems of ourselves, and we are very badly caught in it. If you ask me in simple words, the same question that we asked today here, what is it that prevents us from being natural or being spiritual, or what is it that prevents us from realizing the ultimate? I would say you, or in certain another word frame, me. मैं ही अपना बेरी मुआ. I am only the cause of my own suffering. I am the cause of my, I am the cause of my own suffering. I am the cause of my own lack. I am the cause of my own delays. I am the cause of my own delusions. I prevent myself from seeking. Now, who's this I? This is that stupid guy called ego. This is that stupid guy called ego. That I, that false one. Because that false one believes so much, has now conditioned. So, I'm telling you, it is so hard to even put a certain fact in front of people, because I very carefully observe when I just put a certain fact in front of them, the whole prakriya changes, prakriti changes. I can see them breathing, panting heavily, or their eyes widen up, or suddenly they will find themselves distracting here and there, or suddenly they want to play the radio on the, suddenly music will become very important to them. Let's play the video. Or suddenly they'll pick up the phone and then they want to be busy in something. Suddenly they will pick up a book, or suddenly they will remember something. And, I got to make a call. Or suddenly they will have an itch. They'll start scratching. Or suddenly they will search for something. There is something. Or suddenly they'll have some stupid question in between. Hey, do you remember that? We are talking about it. What happened to that? Suddenly, change of topic. What is this? Escapism. Here also I see so many. They come here thinking that here we are going to talk about do this and do that. They're very happy with doing stuff. And people want to know techniques and methods and secrets and something where they can get some. I'm telling you, it's all bullshit. You will never find any secret or shortcuts. And if somebody is fooling you all the time, Here is a secret, here is a shortcut, here is a divine technique, here is something beautiful to you. Remain in that. There is nothing of that sort. Until you have the audacity to look into the mirror and face yourself, no technique, no master, no religion, no path can help you. I can write it in blood and give it to you. That is if you don't trust. If you don't trust, that's your lack. That's your loss. Who's the one not trusting? You don't have to trust my own words. You look inside and you'll find these secrets. That is the reason we can't turn within. Because the moment we look inside, so many things come up which is so much in misalignment to what you believe you are. All the conditionings that you've got from childhood, everybody has conditioned you in certain way. Your teachers have conditioned you in a certain way. It begins with parents. Your parents have conditioned you in a certain way. I'm telling you, true spiritual people who are working towards liberation, because I am talking of people who are on the extremes. I am always in groups and I'm always among people who are in the extremes, who have gone all the stupidities of life, who have no more hankerings around. They're done with life. These are people who are done with life. Done with life means done with samsara. These things will not appeal to those who are still in stuck and glued in samsara. So don't find your way here. You can say tata and go back to your samsara and go and dip yourself in it, because you nobody can save you. If somebody has given you the delusion that you enjoy, you do all the bhog, you get into the vasana, get stuck into it, drown in that world of samsara, and then try to swim out, be so. Try doing it. I talk to only people who are extremes, who are beyond a certain, because only they can catch it. Otherwise, the whole talk is a time pass. It's entertainment, spiritual entertainment. Jiddu Krishnamurti, while dying, he talked to one of his person and he was a little sad. Why sad? He said, I think I've wasted my life. Jiddu Krishnamurti, one of the greatest philosophers, enlightened beings, who walked on earth and who had the audacity to break down all the countries. These are few people I can count on my hands. Those days, poets like Rumi, poets like Kabir, poets like Bulle Shah had the audacity to splash acid on your beliefs. Straight. They didn't fear anybody. And then in the modern days, 19th century, there were people like Jiddu Krishnamurti and Osho who could splash acid on people's beliefs. Just like that. Who could draw the curtain down, pull the curtain down of all hypocrites, all kind of hypocrisy, double standards. These people were triggered by only double standards. People like Jiddu and Osho. And there were many others also. Their only trigger was hypocrisy. If they saw double standard, if they didn't see a match, they triggered. And you can see their words are full of criticism. So usually they were criticized as critics, but they were people who had guts. Why guts? Because it needs a lot of daring and courage to open the rotten secrets of oneself to oneself. Because that area is so strongly guarded. Our personalities, our beliefs, our conditionings are so strongly guarded. I'm telling you, very difficult. And that is why people fail. Today's question, I'm answering that. What prevents us from seeing the ultimate? We ourselves are rigid conditioning and somebody said the zest to find out. I would say the zest and the willingness to open that rotten thing out and throw it out. The inability to do that is what prevents us. The more you have openness. See, I see many people who are seeking truth. They have lot of questions. Lot of questions. And people come to me with a lot of deeper questions, not all these mundane things. Like, how do I manifest a car? What to do to build up a relationship? My child is doing this. How do I get over with my child? How do I explain my child? How do I get my daughter married? How do I experience peace? How do I meditate? How do I achieve all the goodness of life? How do I see visions? How do I get into lucid dreamings? These are people who have not yet matured. Still, a lot of work is there. I leave them alone. You be in your world, and the world, the internet has enough to answer all your questions. And there are people sitting on the branches waiting for people like these to pounce upon and make business out of them. Because stupidity can be read from very far. Very clearly, it can be read. You don't have to tell I'm stupid. You behave in a certain way, and there are enough wise, intelligent people to catch the stupid people and put them into the herd. Because there is no challenges, there is nobody is questioning. You just go by conditionings, belief systems. You are caught up in a certain thing, and then you are a slave. You don't have your own thinking. You are free thinking. You cannot think freely. You look at all the societies that are built up. So many kinds of societies and communities are built up. They don't have free liberal thinking. They cannot. They are not allowed to. And even if one person thinks in that, that person is a scapegoat. Either that person is harassed or that person is out. One of the two will certainly happen, because the belief is one rotten apple will spoil all the rotten apples. And I say the vice versa it is. One fresh apple can bring life to all the rotten apples, provided there is openness. But usually in closed circuit belief system made based systems, it's very difficult, because then you just go by certain standards set by someone. Like the whole religion, if you take the Christianity, the Islam, the Hinduism, the Buddhism, Sikhism, you look at it, there are certain moralities set in there, preset modalities, and once you become a part of something, then you are adhering to it, even if you have no clarity in what you're doing. You might be clear in a religion that okay, 80% of what I'm doing is okay, it's making sense to me, but the 20% doesn't make sense to me, and you go to question, there will be no answers. This is how is it here. It is here. You got to attain this, you have to achieve this, you have to be in this manner. That's all. No asking, no questions asked. You just be here, because if you be in this pattern, then then you're going to benefit, or then you're going to please God. So you can see the whole catch is in build up systems, which is done in a certain way where the whole flock moves in that direction, and there is no free thinking. Free thinking is not encouraged, it's not answered. Most of the time, you ask questions. I had so many questions in my religion. Not now, as a child, second standard, third standard, when I was hardly 7 years, 8 years, I had so many questions that I asked my parents, couldn't answer. I went on to ask my teachers, couldn't answer. They usually gave a mocky smile, or they twisted my ears, or they said, God will punish you for asking such questions, or they deviated, distracted themselves, or distracted me from my pursuit. But it's an innocent mind in that age. You just want to know. You want to know many things. You ask. You ask the preachers who preach about so many things. You ask the teachers who teach you about so many things. And I asked all my preachers and teachers, and none could answer me. And when they could not answer me, or when my curiosity was not taken care of, then I started looking for answers elsewhere. I moved out of such zones where there is no answers, or where there is no understanding of what I have learned. If religion tells me this, if spirituality tells me this, if the teachings is this, if the doctrines is this, if the commandments are this, if the principles are this, then I should see it. That's my take. If the Bible says, do not speak lies, I always was triggered whenever somebody in my family said a lie, because all were following the Bible. The child is told that everybody, the whole family, the whole lineage is following the Bible. And if they are following the Bible, then the Bible says this. And if it is mismatching in attitude and behavior, there's a trigger in me, and I questioned it. And when I questioned it, there is no answer to it. Now, when there is no answer, what will a child do? Either you are following the scripture or the principle or the teaching or the doctrine, or you're not following. Simple as that. There is nothing in between. What they always gave excuses was always in the between. It was straight, not this or that. So this was dodging. Dodging because the gray area is always confusing. It's not having a straight answer. And I was seeking for straight answers because the fundamentals are very straight. You say God has put these commandments, so they are very straight. If God has put, and you tell me all the time, you are convincing me all the time, God is powerful, God is this and God is that, God will reward you for your goodness and God will punish you for your badness. If you are so God fearing, and if God is the ultimatum and everything, then why are you not following God? You who are preaching, you who are teaching the fundamentals, why are you not following what you are preaching? Practice what you preach. It's not happening. So all that misalignment led me to question more and more and to seek more and more answers from whoever could get it, and whoever could convince me. I listened to them more than religion. Simple as that. Anybody would do that. So if somebody told me even out of religion and that makes sense and that answered the query, I trusted more in that person than the religion or the keepers of religion or spirituality or the keepers of spirituality. For me, it didn't matter who kept religion or spirituality. For me, what only mattered is answering all my quest. Same in spirituality. When in spirituality came, I had questions. And until I had convictions, I wouldn't trust anything. Very simple. Because I had done that error before. Blind belief. I was believing blindly in God, in religion. No questions asked. You have to believe. He's there, somewhere up there. So, okay, he's there, I believe. I have no problem in believing that he is there or wherever. But if he is there and if he is that God, then why do these things happen? In his presence, in God, who is the most merciful and the most unconditional, why are these things happening? No answers. Why do you not have answers? Oh, that is the way we were taught. Somebody told us he's up there, so we believed. So if we have believed our whole life, you also have to believe. We didn't have the audacity to ask questions. You shouldn't have either. So you shouldn't ask questions. If you ask questions, then God will get angry. It took me time to realize that God never gets angry when you ask questions, but the keepers of God, keepers of spirituality can get angry. if you ask questions, genuine questions. And that's how I bugged many of them in religion and then in spirituality. Literally bugged many of them. And where there were no answers, where there was no alignment, no adherence to that same doctrines and principles, where it was only a preaching and teaching, but it did not reflect in life, I was not impressed. Because I will become that, where I am, what I am. I will become my teachers in school, what they taught me. I will become like them. I will become empty. If somebody asks me, I have no answers. I didn't certainly want to tell because my teachers told you have to believe. Those were the times, a decade, 2 decades back, when consciousness was not so much. It was very dull, still very lethargic. It's not like today. Today, a newly born baby also can look at you with piercing eyes, and you can become very conscious, very alert, just by looking at a baby staring at you. If you're doing some nonsense, if you're telling a lie, and even if a baby is staring at you, you'll become conscious because that stare has consciousness in it. Today's souls are very alive, very awake, very aware, very conscious. You cannot fool them anymore. Decades have gone in fooling. They cannot be fooled anymore. There will be lot of questions on the alignment, the adherence, lot of questions. Now that is why we stay away from public. Because if I am in public, I'm answerable all the time. My real behavior is seen when I'm living in the world openly. If everybody and anybody has access to me, they are welcome to come and see what I talk, how I live, what I do, what I don't do. But if I am not matched to that, I will not allow anybody. I will myself also not get living in the world. I will be aloof. Why? Questions. If not questions asked, there will be many doubts that will arise in the minds. And I can look at every eye that is piercing and shattering my double standards. I cannot answer them. So I prefer to be away. So I don't trust whatever is happening in the backgrounds of religion or spirituality to be true. You might trust it. You might look at face value. I don't look at face value. I see the match. Because if I have an opportunity to be in surroundings and look at people straight, I can find out what is true and what is false. And if it is false, there will be questions that you won't be able to answer. Many questions. And when I don't get answers to the questions, I prefer seeking it with the seers who have found that truth and who are open enough to admit it, who are open with everything. And the quest continues there. Transparency is there. Spirituality is transparency. You cannot tell me spirituality is not transparency. Spirituality is not something to be performed on camera. Spirituality is not what we talk. on camera. Spirituality is what we live. So if we have the opportunity to live together, we will know. That is why, anyways, even if I want to hide something from you guys, for example, I can hide it. If I am with someone or we are together also, let's say for a week I can still hold on myself and present myself in a certain way. It's not very difficult. You need to have very precision sharp awareness to catch through that game also. If your awareness is not sharp, you will be fooled. And if we have been fools all our life, being fooled by everything around us, not a big deal to get fooled here also. It's very easy to fool people. Whom I cannot fool is my own family members. They're around all the time. Whatever I teach, I preach, I have to be that. Because there is somebody keeping a check on, oh. But that's quite another thing. That if they are fully dependent on us and they have no freedom and no voice of their own, no independency, then even they can fail to ask questions. Where will they go if you make them the black sheep, scapegoat? So many can be scared and still be living in compromise or adjustments. I'm talking to you very detail about our own qualities which prevent us. And what am I talking here? I am talking here transparency. Not transparency to the world, transparent transparency to myself. I am very transparent, means I am very honest to myself. Only those who are very honest, who can be honest now? Only those who have precision sharp awareness, because their awareness will not let them also escape doing any nonsense. Most of the time what happens is you can fool the world, you cannot fool yourself. But most of the cases I've seen, we fool ourselves most of the time. We convince ourselves. Inner consciousness says something and then we can convince ourselves the other way, some way. And if that becomes a habit, very dangerous. Because then your viveka has been blunt. Viveka has dulled. The discriminative powers dulls. And when I am not able to discriminate my own life as to what is true in me and what is false in me, how can I use the same viveka to ascertain anything in my life and see what is good and what is bad, what is true and what is false? We are talking about developing a discrimination where you can identify the real from the false. The discrimination, the awareness is so sharp that it can clearly tell this is Maya and this is not Maya, this is real. It can identify the real hidden in the Maya. It can identify the God Tattva hidden in the falseness. It can see divinity hidden in the falseness. Because you need razor sharp awareness, discrimination for that. But I'm telling you, if we are not using the discrimination on our own self and we are using being faulty, you're not being sincere with our own self, then this razor sharp discrimination gets blunt, the intellect gets blunt, and then with that blunt intellect we move on to find the truth and to find the reality in spirituality. It's not going to happen, because you'll see every sab dhundla dhundla. Everything, it's a reflection of what we are inside is outside. So any seeking that is there, you'll see everything blunt, dull. You cannot discriminate. You cannot even have the simple basic sense of understanding what is real and unreal. Like, for example, if we are practitioners on this path of liberation, then we are all the time practicing what is real and what is unreal. It's all about that. First, it begins here, which is the real me and which is the false me. Realizing that. Once you even realize the opposite, not realizing the real me, forget. Once you even understand and realize the false me, that's enough. What is left is the real you. But either of it, your discrimination should find out. This part of me is not true, is not real, is the false one. Immediately you will find what is the true one. Or if you can directly move and find out this is the real aspect of me, the rest all will just evaporate. It doesn't make any sense. That's Ramana Tattva. You go and abide in the self which is true and Shashwat, eternal, Nitya, always present, never dying. So the more you abide in that self, the rest everything dissolves. The mind, ego, everything dissolves. You don't have to do anything on that. Whereas the path of inquiry, who am I, starts with inquiring who am I not. The more you understand who am I not, the what is left with is who am I. That's simple. So we are going the other way. There are two ways to. This is all introspection and reflection and contemplation. You work on that. Now this is not everybody's cup of tea. Coming till here, it's not everybody's cup of tea. That is why people don't proceed after certain things. People don't proceed beyond that doership, beyond that beliefs and conditionings that they have built. They cannot transcend that. Still stuck in that. You're still in that, oh, thoba, thoba. I was there with my friend's house a couple of weeks back. I think last Sunday only I was there. Not last Sunday, I was traveling last Sunday. Before that, one Sunday, I was there in my friend's house. And because they had the audacity to ask certain deep questions, I had the audacity to tell them the answers, but they did not have the audacity to listen to it. It was shock to them, and I could see it on their faces and body language, and so much uncomfortable because they believed something, and here is somebody telling something so straight and so bad. They were talking about Murti Puja, idol worship. Now, I have no problem. Why should I have any problem if anybody is doing rituals? Let them do rituals. If it helps them, very well and good. But if somebody is doing rituals and doing rituals and doing rituals all their life, and one fine day something in them comes and asks me, why is it that after doing all these years, I have still not attained that God, or not even had a glimpse of that God, Ishta, to whom I am doing all these rituals? And then when I started telling them, it shocked them. I was talking to them about Parabhakti and Aparabhakti and how it has to go into Parabhakti. Until then, nothing happens. Till you see God in the image or the form, okay, it will help you just discipline a certain way. It will instill some greed and fear in you. Greed, oh, give me little more, something more I can get from here. Or fear, if I don't do this something. Out of greed and out of fear, you'll start following some disciplines. So you become little disciplined. That's all. That's all that can do. But for how long are you going to be disciplined? You go on for months and years in that certain discipline. And then you say that even this discipline is not helping me now. Yes, then that is the saturation point. That's the right time for you to ask this question and rise beyond. But then be ready to listen to the answers if you have that questions. So when I told them the futility of that, idol worship. It is there till a certain point. All the ritual, karma kand, is only to a certain point. After a certain point, if you want to get beyond, you have to leave and go beyond. You cannot catch hold of that and try to move ahead. It is as stupid as saying, I want to hold on to duality and enter into non duality. Is that possible? Non duality means oneness. Everything is gone. There is no two at all. It's all dissolved into one. No, I am scared. I cannot leave the dual. I want the non dual, but I want to catch it, the dual, and go. Only then I am going to have this experience. No, you're not going to have that experience. Check it out. Because that is your fear, that is not even letting go of that dual system. It's all answering to today's question: what prevents us from realizing the ultimate? These fears, these conditions, these beliefs. Somebody has conditioned in her. No, 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 no. Somebody will punish us. And I gave the examples because they were all param bhakt of the Lord Dattatreya and the lineage. I told them one of the examples of Bhagwan Nityananda when they went into Ganeshpuri and somebody opened the temple, they saw Nityananda standing with his feet on the Shivalinga. He was standing there. How jolting it could be to someone. How insulting is that? And to whom I was telling, I could see immediately their lips started saying something. But. I thought maybe it's a reflex action. Then again, and inside that curiosity also is there. That bhaya bhi hai, that fear also is there, but the curiosity is there to know more. And they went on to ask more. Then what is this? Then what is that? And then I said, okay, one more example which is there. Swami Samarth. Yeah, we trust him. We are big devotees of his. I said he peed once on an idol, some god's idol. He peed. Could see the eyes bewildering, and I could see their breath going up and down inside. And they were again. What they were doing was mantra chap chanting kar rahe the. And they're listening also, and they're moving the hair. She's moving the hair and deep breathing, and uh, you could see how these belief systems have ingrained into your cells. You have become them, deep beliefs and conditions, and how hard it is to even address it. Forget curing it, even for it to just be on the surface, so acidic. See the reaction of fear. But I persisted saying, why did he that? He's not doing it to insult anybody. They are avadhuts, nirguna, beyond all the gunas. They don't have any gunas. So what they do is lila. They just proclaim and show, demonstrate their teachings through their actions. So if he said there is nothing in a stone, he means it by peeing on it. Then he's talking what he's preaching. So difficult, right? You look at all the preachers, it's very difficult. Preaching and teachings are very, very easy. But to exactly follow that, very difficult. And people can align and have conviction only when there is this clarity. This clarity. And when Bhagavan Nityananda put his feet on the Shivalinga, was he meaning to insult the Shivalinga, or was he meaning to insult the devotee or something? No, it was a demonstration of what? Advaita. So if he says God is in this and God is in this and God is everywhere, there is not a place that God. What is the difference? I keep my hand or head on where on that. They have realized that truth and they are acting from that truth. Real teachers. It's there in a stone if somebody says, this is how it is. If it is in a stone, I embrace the stone. I stand upon that stone because there is no difference between me and the stone. Which God to be insulted? Who will get insulted? Who's insulting whom? There is no Dvaita, Dvanda hai nahi. All are one. Both the structures are same. Proved. But if somebody is saying no, it is not there in that stone, you can pee on it. Various ways to demonstrate the teachings. It shakes up the confidence. It shakes up all the old systems, belief systems. This shaking is needed. This shaking is needed, and this is what prevents us from realizing the ultimate. These beliefs. So, whenever we go on to higher scriptures or deeper teachings, be very practical about it. Be very, very practical about it. Don't just have a spiritual entertainment that we have already done. The kindergarten days are over. In the starting, it's all good. It is all good to sit singing bhajans. Sing bhajans, sing praises. Hail to this one, hail to that one. You are great. Thou art great. Keep on doing. It's good. It's good to build bhakti, but there is something beyond that. Once you develop a rapport, there's something beyond that. These disciplines are good to discipline the ego, but once the ego is disciplined, then something is there beyond, that is transcendence. It has to transcend. Even the tools that you have in hand, one day will have to be transcended. The goal lies beyond these things that you have caught on to. Whatever that you have caught on to. The catching is in the Dvait. When you feel it's all two. You catch your God, you catch your Ishta, you catch your scripture, you catch your teacher, you catch the teaching, you catch anything. You'll have to go beyond the catch. Until you go beyond the catch, that is why people go and get stuck only till there. Because there are no systems to directly open up and tell you, go beyond this stuff. I see all the systems are very busy, stuck in proving that this is it. This is your destination. You are arrived. Be here. Very difficult. I met a girl in Pune retreat. She had just come from US and we don't know each other. She just ended up there in that place, and then she happened to meet. We happened to all meet, and this program was going on. She just joined. We were talking and we were listening to all these things. Of course, I talk the same tattva everywhere. So I was talking the same stuff there. And then in the lunch break, she met me and she told, this is something different which I'm hearing. Because I've been to multiple places. I've been from one guru to the other, one path to the other, one community to the other. And everywhere that I have gone all these years, I felt lost and I went there so that I can have some finding, some base. I was seeking the truth. She had some turmoils in her life, and so for that she had set out in quest of the truth. She was from California. So she went searching many places, all these questions she carried with herself. She wanted to know a lot of things. But everywhere she went and asked these questions of deeper questions, they said, you have arrived. Welcome. Arrived means this is your destination. Means everybody told her, you came little late, but finally you have arrived. You are supposed to be here. This is where you belong. This was one common message that she got from everywhere. She told me, I don't know how can it be so true. I went to 5 different places. All the 5 told me the same, that this is where you belong. This is the truth. How can be the truth be that I be in 5 places at one time? How can I belong to 5 places at one time? And all the 5 are saying you belong here. This is your destination. Finally, you have arrived. I said, that is the crap that is going on everywhere. Would you realize that? I said, if you wouldn't have realized, she said, no, I didn't realize it immediately. I had to undergo some lessons. First place I believed when they said, this, you have arrived. I said, okay, I have arrived. And then I spotted some nonsense happening there. Left. Went to another place asking and seeking. And that person there said, you have arrived and this is it. But what was my previous experience? Oh, that was an experience so that you could be led to the right direction. And here is where you belong. And I asked, then what? Then what happened? She said, what? What can happen? He tried to molest me in a couple of months. He tried to take advantage of me. This is why he was saying you belong here. She fled from there. And she continued going everywhere. And she said, everybody is saying, this is your destination. This is your path. Nobody is trying to find out what am I interested in? What am I seeking? And how to lead me there without being so much selfishly involved, so self-centered, without seeing their own profits. Nobody willing to show me a direction, go here or there. Not one person said, you belong there, you go there. Everybody felt that you belong here. The belonging comes through many things. It depends on so many factors, on your looks, on your age, on your possessions, what all you have, on your abilities, your skills, your talents, on your nationality, on your backgrounds. So many things are there to ascertain. Because once that is ascertained, or based on that, you belong to that place. And if you're Kangal, if you don't have a home, if you don't have looks, if you don't have the appropriate age, if you have nothing to offer, would you belong still to that place? No. I have seen this in my personal experience also. You belong to places where, depending on what you can give. If you cannot give, you don't belong there. Then people can tell, no, you don't belong here. I think you are looking for this. Maybe you will find it there. Please go and find it there. Redirection. Love that honesty. But that honesty would have been appreciated even in these cases, where there is so much that of profit and goodness that you see, and you can put down that greed and be honest with that person also. I'm reminded of Devi Amma, a saint in Bangalore. I asked her, Amma, you're sitting here, you don't even meet anybody, you're not open to anybody, you're not available to anybody. So whenever I put your videos and all that, people send me these messages, then I have to tell it to you. And why don't you just be open to people? Why can't you just be open? She said, no, my dear son, I don't want to get into all that. I said, but it will help. So many people it will help. You can guide so many people who are lost. She said, no, that's not my cup of tea. That's not my way of life. I don't have permission from it from my appa, that is Agastya Mamuni, for very valid reasons. And one of the reasons she said that is, this is one reason I did not open an ashram. Because then something else will begin. I will have to cover my costs. And then every Tom, Dick, and Harry that walks to me, the moment that person walks to me, the first thing I will want to know is, what's your name? Where are you from? What do you do? And what can you do for us? What can you offer? Most of the time, the last word doesn't come. What can you offer for us? It's all hidden. I've been traveling almost all my life, and I've visited so many religious places, organizations, spiritual localities, communities, ashrams, so many places I've been traveling, and I've seen this. Even in spiritual places or religious places, when I enter, the first thing asked is, where are you from? And sometimes not even that. The first question asked is, yes, what do you do? The moment you tell what you do, immediately they will come to know. Are you going to be of any use to them? The next place that is going to help is, okay. So the question that first comes to anybody's mind is, what is this person? What can you do for us? But not directly asked, indirectly. What do you do? Ram says, I'm so and so, I'm so and so. Yes, so what do you do in there? And some will get even more deeply interested. Ah, okay, in that field, okay. Then what do you do? And what happens? And what happens? Now, I cannot differentiate many times. Am I in a bhautik world or in a adhyatmic world? Because these questions are very bhautik, sansarik, very much worldly kind of questions. So it reflects on what that tattva is all about, trying to know about. Is it trying to know more about the worldly stuff that you do so that you can benefit them worldly? So if that structure is based on worldliness, the question will be worldliness. Hardly in some few places where I've gone. Some few beings that I've met, so unconditional, so nothing to do with who you are, what you are. And I'm telling you, even some saints who know me even personally, even today, they still don't know where I stay. They don't know who all are in my family. They don't know what I do. Devyam also. She knows just my first name. That's all. Every time she forgets where I am from. Every time I have to remind I am from so and so place. She doesn't know who all are there at home. She calls me once or twice in every 2 months on phone and just 2 minutes talk. How are you, my son? That's finished. You'll never ask, how are people at home? Is everything at home fine? Is your work going fine? Blah blah blah. No worldly talks. That gives a gesture of what is there on the other end. And in some places, oh, a whole biodata I have to give there. I do this. What else can you do? I do this. What else do you do? What else? What else? What else? What else? And if nothing can be found out of that, then they say, okay, fine. Then the communications will drop. Then it will be only to the point. But if you can do something, then the communications will continue. Then suddenly there will be an interest in you, your well-being. It is something else. So she told me, Devi Amma told me, this is one reason I did not get into all this. But because then everybody who walks in, my first question will be to find out, what is this person up to? How much does he earn? And how much is he carrying right now in the pocket? So that he can offload something while going from here. How true and how straight to the point. She said, I don't want to get caught up in all that. I reveled whatever she said. So these catches are there in the world. If awareness is not at peak, we can get caught up in it very easily. You must be able to see through things very easily. Not because you want to sit there exposing people, or then you want to find a controversy, or then you find delight in telling that, I found something or something, and then you want to prove someone right or wrong. Not about that. It's for your own well-being. You will know what to choose and what to drop. Simple. What does a Viveka do? It will just give you the discriminatory powers, discrimination of whether this is needed for you, whether this is not needed, whether this place is ideal for you, whether this place is not ideal for you. Simple as that. If it is ideal, you stay. If it is not ideal, you move. That's all. Simple. But it will protect you. Your own awareness will protect you. If your awareness is dull, your intellect is dull, then you can expect all the people and places and things to crawl upon you all the time, because you are a victim now. If you are a person of the mind and you live in the mind, anybody can enter into your mind and convince you. All these systems, you just look in, you just take up your eyes and put on the internet. Every single thing is trying to convince whom? Your mind. All the advertisements are for whom? For your mind, the stupid mind, the dull mind, the unconscious mind. Somebody there is much more witty and knows that somebody is asleep there. So let me sneak into their mind and get what I have to get. Let's get the work done. All these products that sell you in your home, most of it which you know the names, have all conquered your mind. If I keep one bun here, and if it immediately pops up a burger in your mind, Domino's or KFC or whatever, I don't know all those. If just a bun, looking at a bun can pop up a burger in your head, it shows that those guys have advertised and conquered your mind. Somewhere they have entered and seeped into your subconscious, and they have put a seed there of their burger. All that you now need to do is look at something that is resembling it, and immediately you will get hooked onto that. Everywhere is the same. It happens even in religion, it happens even in spirituality. And especially with the advent of all the internet and all these tools that can seep and enter into your houses, into your hands all the time, into your pockets all the time, anybody can sell anything to you. That is, if you have a dull intellect, if your awareness is not sharp. That's why I said the people who are aware cannot be fooled, they cannot be tricked, because immediately there will be questions, authentic questions, and it's very difficult to dodge them. Their authenticity, the authentic questions, you'll get caught up somewhere. So better avoid them, keep them at bay. So these catches which are there in our mind, which is unconscious, which we are not even aware of, and we just go in some blind belief. This is what I was telling those friends of mine about bhakti. They thought only if you keep on doing bhajan, they'll get God. Bhajan is a method to align your consciousness to that, because when you are in that sound, that vibration, that kind of a feeling, that emotion, the lyrics that you sing, when you get connected to that, that is what creates the magic, not just the activity. So if somebody is sitting there with pakwaj and tabla and dholak and they are just banging on it left and right and shouting their lungs out and thinking God is going to come, it's not going to happen. Tansen did not bring rains because he shouted at the clouds at high pitch decibels. His consciousness that was so expanded and so real, was so developed, that if he sang, he meant every single word. That it could even go and alter the Panch Mahabhutas. That is what Tansen did. So, what is that? The power of your consciousness, the awareness that is there present in that voice. When I speak here, it is not my personality that is appealing to you. It is that voice that comes from a state of awareness. It might appeal to you or not appeal to you depending on what state of awareness are you in or are seeking to be in. That's what we call as like-minded stuff. Until we become aware, my whole goal of making us aware is that you become aware of the falseness and the truthfulness first within. First, when I do it very sincerely and I am able to do it very authentically. See, if you see my 2 years old videos, it all began on integrity and authenticity. That's all. Being integral and authentic. I was only talking about that. Be very honest, sincere, integral, and authentic. You must be able to express things out very clearly, and what you express, you must be able to have an experience within. That uniformity, when you start happening, what happens is you start aligning with your own self, and do not be ashamed of your own flaws. If you look at those videos, I used to always tell, be very welcoming and open to your flaws. Don't get into guilt, because the worldly system teaches you about guilt. It teaches you how to feel guilty about something that you have done, because with guilt you become a sinner, and the whole religion is propaganda is on that, to turn you into a sinner. And when you become a sinner, you're a good for nothing. Only sinners can be manipulated and controlled and dominated, because that's where your key is. And we have got conditioned again and again all over these years for a whole lifetime that people have been telling us that you have done this wrong, you have done that wrong. You are good for nothing, you're good for this. Our parents begin first by telling you, you didn't do that. Is a comparison. Look at that child, look at you, look at where that person has reached. Look at that, look at you. You are good for nothing, and look at that. It will catch your ears. Teachers will catch you. Everybody around you will catch you. You did this wrong. You're not supposed to do. How did you do this? You will be punished. You're punished by parents, society, teachers, universities, religion, spirituality also. They punish you. There is a punishment for every wrong that you do. And everybody is alert. Preachers and teachers are all alert with the whip all the time. You did this, you did that. Oh, you had a bad thought in your mind. You lousy fellow. You lusty guy. How can you have that dirty thoughts while meditating on God? You have sinned. Eternal hell for you. And then you shudder. So we have trained all our cells and our DNAs to be slaves all the time. This fear has been instilled so deeply in us that we are trembling all the time. It doesn't take much time for anybody to point out one finger. What one finger? If somebody looks at you like this, you will shudder. I've seen this. I've seen this personally. When I was once in Pyramid Valley in Bangalore, I had gone there to, they had a course on inner child healing. So I went to attend it. Not that I wanted to learn, because I do this same stuff myself, inner child healing. I've done a couple of sessions on that and even long videos on that. One session we had in COVID times, inner child healing. 5 days we did completely. Many benefited out of it. So I just wanted to learn what are they teaching and how are they trying to put this into experience. So I went there for, it was a 2 days, and I took up, signed up, and I went there. And by the first day end, I came to know that's okay. It's just the basic stuff and all that stuff. It's still got to do with going deep and finding out your um, what you're sulking about, what is the pain in you, what is the trauma in you, and trying to bring that out in various methods, various methods. Catharsis, it's called. I don't know how many know this word catharsis. Catharsis is when you scribble out things from inside, or you write things down and tear the papers, or you burn it up. Many people burn it up. So all these things were there, and catharsis was very beautifully introduced first by Osho. If you look at his programs, he knew that. So of course he had also learned it from somewhere, but it's a very strong programs to deprogram you, to uncondition you. So I was in those processes, and I could see people are weeping and sometimes crying and something this, and some people were not able to. So there were a couple of us in front of us. There was a lady in front of me, maybe close to her 40. So I was looking at everybody, and everybody was doing it. So few people were not able to relate to it. So this lady also was there, and I knew she had some trauma, because from the day one she was very silent. And people who come to inner child healing obviously have trauma, obviously have something. So this lady was sitting there and she couldn't open up. I knew she was trying to help herself out, because in the break she came and talked me about some questions that she had. And I could see that genuinely she's trying to do that, but the logic was very rigid. So she couldn't get through it. So maybe she was not understanding the process and all that. So there were a lot of papers that were given there, and sometimes newspapers were given where you had to literally tear and rip that. It's like you are imagining that person who did wrong to you, or somebody who did, like, you are venting out all that. So you're supposed to tear all that, and all the tearing and wearing is going out. I was quietly sitting behind, and then I saw this lady. She was not even touching the papers. She was with her eyes closed, trying to meditate, trying to get to understand what's happening here. And there on the mic they were telling, okay, now recall that person and then tear him into pieces and do this and do that to him or her or whoever that person is, and that this. So from behind I started prompting her, do, you also bring that person out, you do. And she was like, started breathing heavily. And then the papers that was lying, her bit of pieces that were lying, I took that and gave it in her. Take it, you must tear it, throw it now. And she grabbed it from my hands and she screamed her hell out, and she, little provocation, that's tears and weeping and all those things. So I was looking into those processes where the conditioning is so strong inside that to uncondition it, it takes such a hell lot. That person on the mic was explaining for hours together the whole process, and few could get it there. Those who are little sensitive and emotional and open, they can get it. But those who are rigid and very, it's very difficult for them to get into that. But they want to heal themselves. So I remember this lady uh, then turning to me in the afternoon break and telling that, I have a lot of things. Can I release everything in this session itself? I said, it's possible if you want. Because somewhere I had mentioned while we were introducing, I had mentioned that I've been through this process and I've done it from I don't want to name his name, from another regressionist. And it was a beautiful experience. So somehow she was counting on that and she was trying to ask these kind of questions. So I said, you can, but don't lose your time in logics. Just go with the flow and get it done. 2 days it'll be over. So the first day was over, the second day was going on, and somehow the opening was not happening, because some things are so personal, you cannot get so open with it. And somehow, when, because people were asking me a lot of questions in between and I was giving them solution, and I took the mic and I tried to explain to the conductor of that program that if you do it in this manner, I believe people can just just have that. It's all beautiful, everything is going beautiful, just this one thing I feel is missing. So I thought that would help, but I think she got a little annoyed that how can there be two trainers taking the same course. And then we used to eat food together till then, and then after that session where I talked about this, she went and sat very far from me, and it seemed like she doesn't want to talk anymore on that. And after that she just ignored me as though I don't exist. So for the rest of the next day, I was there, but I was as good as non-existent. All the questions were asked, all the exercise was given to everybody, but nothing came to me. so so that person came to know that this guy might actually, take the whole thing here. So anyhow, I had gone there for experience and learning, and I learned a lot of things that you can teach people even if you're incomplete. If you yourself don't know about it, also you can still teach people. That I learned very well. But I learned another few approaches, the way they approached it. And I learned from the people's experiences, because by the end of the second day, I had so many people coming to me and talking, and this lady also was there. She said, I want to talk to you for some time. And nothing, it's not happening here. I tried, but maybe it's because the public and all that. I said, okay. Then in the evening, we sat talking in the garden, and she talked for hours, I think around 3 or 4 hours, emptied herself completely and told all the problems that she had and the kind of dilemma and trauma that she was undergoing and the reason she was unable to release that. And I was a little shocked, a little shocked on all these things. And then we said, okay, it's late now. So tomorrow I'm there for the whole day. So let's continue the talk tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm early morning. I'm scheduled to go at 4 a.m. to the pyramid, the huge pyramid, and I'll be meditating there. I told her. After that, around 5 or 6, we'll catch up. So we'll meet you. I said goodbye, and I went into my room. I went inside and I met a couple of my friends who were there in the dormitory. It was a dormitory, and other guys who were in the course. They started talking. So we had a session there. I remember there was a music director from Andhra Pradesh. He was also there, and he was composing some good music for some film. And there was one deep follower of Meher Baba. The couple of them are there on my platforms. We got connected there, and we talked inside, and lot of things happened inside also. See, that was the first time I realized these things are happening, and I didn't know all these things. But perhaps life put me in Pyramid Valley for a reason, for all these experiences. Because only then I realized, oh my God, these things are working, and people were very happy. So till 2 a.m., almost 1:30 a.m., we were talking, and they were like, "Oh, beautiful! We had a good session, and it was so relieving, and all that, blah blah blah." And we went to sleep. Morning 4 a.m., I got up, I had my bath, and 4:15, as I step out, I see this lady sitting on the steps outside. So I thought she has woken early, and I wanted to remind her, no, look here, dear lady, I was meaning that we will go, and after my meditation, we will meet. So I think she's sitting for that. So when I met her and I said, so early got up, she said, I didn't sleep only. I was shocked. I said, you mean you have been sitting here all night? She said, yes. I said, why? She said, because I can't wait. I know there is a source now to empty these things, and I want to empty it. And I know that you have the solutions because you're talking on all these things in depth. I know, and I want solutions. I have not got it here. The whole plan of going to the pyramid to meditate was cancelled. And the next 3 4 hours we sat again talking out there in the gardens. And she was in immense pain, immense mental pain, because she had been a victim of child abuse right from her childhood. And she had been the victim in her own family. That was the most devastating thing to happen. Her uncles were involved. And it was so devastating. That is the first time I even took shocks of understanding. People can be hurt to this extent. So many things happen. And then I said, no problem. If I'm spending my time here also, it's fine. Let it be. At least let it help this poor soul. And by the end of that whole session that we were talking and unearthing, and because she felt very free to open those things up and so much unburdened, and I told her it's okay. Do not feel guilty. It's okay. It's not your fault. And whatever happened, now you don't need to hold that. And she was weeping actually, because perhaps first time somebody told that she's not a sinner. So the whole world puts in, even including the whole family who know their victims, they treat the victim, the problem is with you. I remember in Palampur there was a girl who met me while we were just talking. It was in a retreat center, and she said suddenly that she wants to meet, and there was another auntie was there. I don't know if she's online here. She also was from Dehradun side, and they both wanted to talk. And I said, auntie, if auntie is there, you can come. And then we talked there in privacy. And this girl just opened up straight without beating around the bush, and we hardly knew each other. She said, I've been raped, and I just can't forgive that person. And she was under so many psychotic drugs, so much, a bunch of it she used to carry. I used to see her always popping those pills. I thought she's taking some treatment. It's okay, some Ayurvedic and all. But then when she told, it was all antipsychotic drugs, because she can't sleep, she can't be restful, she can't do anything in life, and she gets these panic attacks. So much of jitteriness, anger filled in. And the moment I told her again, it's okay, you're not dirty, you're not been filed, you're not because she was thinking I'm dirty, I'm like a dirty pig. That's the treatment she was giving herself. She was carrying herself with all that pain. She was saying, I'm a dirty pig. I said, no, you're a beautiful soul. One incident doesn't make you that. What happens is happened to the body. You, the soul, you don't know who you are. You are always that fresh and fragrant, beautiful flower, that soul. And she wept and wept and wept and wept. Almost half an hour. I said, cry, cry your heart out. And she said, this is the first time somebody said I am not dirty. Everybody, she said, including my whole family, today points the finger at me. It's because of you only. And I'm unable to explain to them. Nobody wants to listen to this. So, this feeling of dirtiness, the sinnerhood, this is created by the damn society. Victims already feel gullible and dirty and guilty. They feel they're sinners. And then imagine all the systems and all the great preachers and teachers and everybody telling you this is this. You're not supposed to do this. Now you've got a papa karma. It is so easy to inflict guilt into people. So easy. Because everybody is scared. Somewhere or the others, everybody is scared of something or someone. That doesn't mean you are going to abuse that fear, misuse that fear of somebody for your own benefits. But the world does that. So, this victimhood, this feeling of dirtiness, this non acceptance of who I am, the flaws, I cannot accept myself, with my own goodness and my own flaws. This is the biggest bullshit that has happened to the system. This independency, this this freedom with which you can say I have sinned, this is missing in the society. And that is why nobody has the audacity to even forget speaking. They cannot even think of themselves as that. And they keep distracted. They keep moving away from the fact that there is some flaw in them or something in them. They always want to impress themselves and others and put on masks. All these masks are coming from these bullshit systems. People are forced to wear masks because if they don't wear masks, they are not accepted in society. They're not accepted in communities. You cannot be what you are in communities, even in spiritual and religious communities. You are not accepted for who you are. It is a very good teaching, that's another story. Accept everyone the way they are. In reality, you cannot accept people the way they are. Oh, that's the catch. That's the catch. See, the whole liberating teachings are something like accept everyone the way they are, because whatever they are, however they're fine. And that is all I had to tell that girl. You are fine the way you are, whatever you are. Doesn't matter to anyone. At least not to that one. If that one is there, you believe. That also is another belief system. See, I said that one. Good for indication and what I'm trying to say. So that has no problem. Problem is with us, our systems, our rigid systems that we have put everywhere, rules and doctrines and do's and don'ts. And there is somebody staring at you all the time. If you do this, you're good. If you do this, you're bad. If you listen to me, you're good. If you don't listen to me, you're bad. Why do I listen to you? Because there is something, some benefit if I listen to you. This begins from our parenthood only. How parents can look at you, stare at you? They don't have to even tell you. How can one make you feel a sinner, guilty sinner? Just there to stare. In public, they cannot give lectures. At home, they can be anything. They can talk any damn thing. Shout at you. You stupid nut. You foolish. In a party, they can't yell, because they're in the standards of being the ultra super parent. So they got to first behave themselves. So they will not shout at you, yell at you. They will be gentlemen and gentle ladies. But their eyes will do the talking. You do anything that is not in adherence to them, one look and you can pee in your pants. You can melt down there, literally. One look. Systems for guilt. What does this do? Induce guilt in you. The moment there is guilt, there is fear. Fear doesn't come without guilt, okay? If you cannot feel guilty, you cannot feel scared. Only if guilt is there, first guilt has to be induced in you, or some threat has to be put in you. Once you get scared of the threat and being guilty, then only the fear begins. Fear doesn't come directly. Once you identify these things, it's very easy to then live and look through all these things. You don't fall for all these gimmicks. So if you really want to see how much that super lady or super gentleman is about, and when they just look into your eyes and they just give you a stare, that damn stare, all that you do is, just respond with a smile. Somebody is staring at you like this, and you do like this. See what happens. All the gentlemanness will freak out. Why? Because if you don't conform to it, they have lost control of you. That jitters, triggers. That will give them jitters. Somebody is not in control. This is what begins at childhood level itself, and this goes on everywhere. So if you have been a kind of victim here, you will get victimized everywhere in life. This is awareness. This is how you heal yourself from all the conditionings and all the patterns and all the inbuilt circuits that are fixed in you, and remote is in somebody else's hand. Unknowingly, unconsciously, they have all been installed into your systems, and somebody can press the remote from somewhere and operate on you. Life of awareness exposes this first in ourselves, and then it exposes everywhere outside. You can see through it first in yourself, but I'm telling you, if you don't have the authenticity and integrity to follow it very well in your own system, you cannot do it. You cannot find the loopholes outside, because here you have failed in being honest and sincere. So you have not developed accuracy in that or sharpness in that. So here, if you fail, you fail everywhere. So the whole playground, the whole practice ground is here in my being. Now, how serious I am. And this seriousness will only come to a bird that is tired. Mark my words again. I repeat. This awareness and this kind of understanding will only start dawning in a person who is fed up of the double standards of life, who's tired now. The bird that is tired will sit down and relax and get to know within. The bird that is not tired will keep running everywhere, seeking this and that, this and that, this and that, and nothing will happen. Nothing can happen. This tiredness has to come. These messages will appear and appeal only to those tired minds. What does tired mind means? Tired mind doesn't mean lost mind. That you have lost life, lost interest in life, and then you've fallen down. Tired means tired of doership. So much of doing. I did this, I did that. The world teaches you do this, do that. And when the tiredness catches up, because in the tiredness only people do everything. All the doers you look around, they are tired minds already. Somewhere somebody has had some problem in life, they have been tired there, and they come to spirituality. And in spirituality, you are more tired because you are doing so many things. There's no end to it until you finally tire out and say, done. Surrender happens only after tiredness. Surrender to what? Surrendering of the ego happens only after tiredness, because who's the one who's tired? It's the ego that gets tired. The mind gets tired. The ego does and does and does and does. The mind is motivator of the doing. That ego has to get tired. The doer has to get tired. And true surrender happens there. There are so many versions and what we call meanings of surrender. Normally, if you don't understand this word surrender, if you don't have awareness about it, then anybody can abuse this word also. Just like all the other abused words in religion and spirituality, this also can be abused. If somebody is pressing a remote and you have circuits inside you, and like a robot, obey if you don't obey, you can be told you don't have surrender. Why? Because the remotes are being pressed and there is no action in you, action or inaction. There is no difference only. The remote has to be pressed and you have to act there. Then only you have the surrender. No, that's not surrender. This is the abused word surrender. That's slavery. That's slavery. You press the button and somebody dances, that's slavery. It could be even between a parent child. The stare, remote, and that person shies down or looks down or fear and suddenly stops. The child stops doing. "Hmm, my remote is working. The child is surrendered to me." That's not surrender. That's slavery. You have made somebody your slave, and you're happy of your own ego giving that control, having that control and dominancy. You can control, because with that control gives you power. I belong somewhere. I am something. I am a father. I'm a mother. I'm a teacher. I'm that and this. I am somebody to whom this one listens to. And if that person doesn't listen to, just imagine your batteries have gone down of the remote, or the circuit has short circuited, and then you are pressing the remote and that person fails to respond or act according to what you're trying to do. What happens then? It's a reverse remote then. You're pressing buttons, but that person is not dancing. Now you start dancing out of fear, anger, insecurity. The first trigger reaction is anger. When somebody does not conform to your remote control, the first trigger that happens is anger. The deeper the desire to control, the deeper, the higher the anger. What is anger? Read the scriptures, listen to rishis, listen to all the Mahatmas who said what is anger. Anger is nothing but unfulfilled desires. So if you see anger somewhere, it just denotes unfulfilled desire. Somebody getting very angry and jittery. Something unfulfilled desire. Most of the time, some remote is not working. Pressing some buttons but nothing working. Get anger triggered. So that happens due to this. That's one reason. It can be anybody. Anybody. So when people come and tell me the meaning of surrender, I laugh and I tell them, sorry, my dear, you not got it right. That's slavery, what you're talking about. Surrender is when the ego gets tired. The mind gets tired and the mind can no more function. The ego is unable to function anymore. The doership drops. Then that being just gets aligned to live life in the moment and to live the way life is intending to keep him or her. My master told these three words, this state, jis vidhi rakhe, us vidhi rahi. However you have kept in life, live in that way. No complaints, no grudges, no demands. Why? The doership is gone. Doership has fallen down. It is tired now. That is surrender. He said Joshi Bhagya. Second word. Whatever is will. This is what exactly Jesus Christ said. Oh Father, thy will be done. Whatever is your wish, let that be done. And my master said the third, Teri raza mein meri raza. Whatever is your will, let that happen. Pure surrender. Because the ego has become so tired, the mind has become so tired of all the doings, it has given up the doings. There is no person to even give up the doing. The giver itself vanishes. So there is no giving also. Things just drop by itself. There's a beautiful story told in the Ramakrishna mission. A bird was once sitting on the wind sail There are the ships, and they have the sails. They move on the winds. So the cast which is there, the wooden on which the sails are there, on top of that, a bird went and sat. While it was on the shore, the boat was still there. So it sat on that ship and it was resting. The boat began moving out into the seas and it went far deep into the ocean. The bird was asleep. When it woke up, it saw that it has come into deep seas. Now it got desperate. Now it wanted to fly back to the shore. This is exactly our story. In unconsciousness, we sit, we take a birth, and we move into the ocean of samsara. Once we move into the ocean of samsara, only when we wake up, we realize, oh, the land is left behind. I will drown in this ocean of samsara. Now, what do I do? And then an awakened being begins the struggle to find the land back. So the bird flew in the north direction, far and far and far. No land to be seen. Finally, its wings were getting tired. It returned back because it knows if it gets too tired, it will drop into the water. So before it exhausted itself, it came back and sat back on the cast and was breathing. So I didn't find. After half an hour, it flew to the east, searched, came back, tired. West, searched, came back. South, searched, came back. By the time it had taken a number of flights, it was so damn tired that it could not move its wings anymore. It said, now if I just hop on to fly to any direction, I'll drop in the water. So tired, it gave up the flying, the attempt, and it just sat there and relaxed. And it saw the boat was going and going. It just sat and trusted the boat. तेरी रजा में मेरी रजा, जो शिव आ गया, जिस विधि राखे उस विधि रहिए. Settle down. All the doership gone, the ego gone, everything gone. And finally, after a couple of hours, it was resting, no more tiredness. Suddenly it sees land. And in a couple of hours, the boat reaches land. And it easily flies away into the land. Now, does this give a very good description of what we are going through? The ego will always tell, do this, do that, run in this direction, run in that direction, try it out here, try it out there, let me get this, let me get that. The I that is there, do. That is why I said the mind should get tired. The mind should get tired. Now, returning back to the question of this whole live session, what prevents me from realizing the ultimate? The doer, the ego, the mind. It's the mind that prevents us from doing. Mind, you can combine it with anything. Mind, you can combine it with ego because mind listens to the ego. Doership, who's the doer? The ego. Ego only prompts to do because it feels I am separate now. I have to do something. And that doing, it gets tired. And in the mind is all the other things like what we talked in this whole session. The belief system, the conditionings, the patterns, everything is in the mind. If you cannot destroy or dissolve your mind, it is very difficult to get into non-doership mode. Because doership is that mind only which is making you do. And how to dissolve the mind? Openness. First is this awareness of what the mind is doing to you, of how limited this mind is, of all these conditions that it has put into itself. It will not allow you freedom. You cannot be free at all. How can the mind be free? It thinks that God is in this temple only. Only if I do this ritual that God I will appease. I will make that God happy. And this thinking, this stuck behavior conditioning is there everywhere. We utilize it everywhere. We think we have to go and flatter somebody to get our work done. We think we have to go and woo a girl or a boy to win the heart. We think we have to flatter and make favors to our parents and societies so that we are in their good books. And we think we have to go and please God also in a temple by doing a certain ritual, breaking a coconut, doing a yagya, offering a garland, or doing a certain process, and then only God will be happy. So, where is this God fundamentals coming? This is coming from the same nonsense that we have created all this life. Pleasing people, trying to be in everybody's good books. Why? Because you can't be alone. Because you can't afford to live alone. Because you have this feeling that you need belonging. You need to belong somewhere. People need to be there around you. Then only it's a secure life. Our whole life is built on building up these securities for us. False securities. You build up so many relationships just to protect that, give you a permanency in that. You build up so many businesses. You build up so many enterprises. You impress so many people. All your friend list, if you see, it's a fake list. Most of them are going to be good for nothing in your life. All the relatives and all those people you see, good for nothing. It's of absolutely no use. You have just kept it. Kab kaam aaye pata nahi. And then you live in conformity. You go and attend somebody's wedding because you want somebody to be there present for your wedding. You go and attend for somebody's funeral, see the heights, because you believe somewhere if you die there will be nobody around. Now how does it matter for a corpse? If you are out of the body, how does it matter if somebody is there or not? But our limited thinking, the gross egoistic thinking, this all happens in the ego. The ego builds up this kind of a strong feeling that I need someone even after my death. You know, all the pharaohs and all, the greater the beings, the greater the ego. They built big chambers for themselves, and with all the materials in that, even including gold and their favorite foods and everything that they loved, they keep it there so that even after death one can continue. This is the heights of ignorance that a human being can be taken to. Who takes them? The ego, the unawakened mind. The unaware mind does it. So if you're not aware, this is all that can happen. This is what I call by unconscious living. You're not conscious being, you're not aware, you don't know what you're doing. Everything is done in conformity. Because somebody is doing, I do. I don't know I am doing, and I don't go to question it because I'm scared. And people will, the systems are built in such a way you cannot question, because if you question, control is gone. The day you question, control is gone. So systems are designed in that way to keep you in control. Very few systems I can see which liberates you, which says go fly. It cannot come so easily in society because our nature is that. Look at parents. How many of them say get married and go fly, my son, my daughter? Go, ja, जी ले अपनी जिंदगी. How many can say that? You can't say that. जी ले अपनी जिंदगी, you can't. जी ले अपनी जिंदगी यानी मेरी जिंदगी का क्या? पहले सेल्फिशनेस वही आता है. We can't set them free. You look at it. You let them get married. You won't. पीछा नहीं छोड़ेंगे. तेरा पीछा ना मैं छोड़ूंगा सोनिए. Something or the other we will do. Some games, some tricks we will play to keep them aligned, to make them stuck in us. Buy them a house very close to my house. work out some ways where they can be always in touch, do something or the other. Our whole life unconsciously is left in this insecurity, this fear of not even asserting and understanding that you are a lonely being. You come alone, you go alone. Okay, no problem. In the time you are here, you have fun, you mix up with people and all that, but that awareness is lost, that I'm here, temporarily here, and today or tomorrow I got to leave, and then who's going to be there? Okay, that much of awareness, if it is there, okay, when I leave my body, I'll be alone. Till then you enjoy that. That is also still fine, but we don't even have that awareness. All the time we are accumulating people and systems. That is why this conformity, we cannot move. अकेला चल ही नहीं सकता आदमी, भीड़ में ही चलता है आदमी, भीड़ में सुरक्षा है उसके लिए. You feel happy that a crowd is there around you, because in crowd you feel comfortable. Who is feeling comfortable? Ask that question. It is that damn ego. That ego gives that feeling that I am alone, that I won't be alone. And look at all these beings who are building up, they get more lonelier and they get more scary. Look at it. The more you accumulate, the more you try to hold on, the more there is that fear, jitteriness. Somebody once had signed for a personal consultation, and there's a constant fear, of constant fear, panic attacks, sweating all the time, breathing heavily all the time. What is this all about? And when I just investigated, talked a little, I could see all these kind of insecure fears, holding on to, doesn't want to let go and even understand that it's a lonely journey. You are in desperate mode to gather and hog things all for you, just so that you feel secure. And are you feeling secure? No. The mind is so cunning, it keeps on playing these games. Mind, let it do its work, but if your awareness is absent, gone case. Mind will do all these nonsense. There is nobody to tell you. You will have to hire somebody else's awareness to understand the problems in your life and where what is happening to you. Whereas you can develop it. If you develop it, you are free. People say, I don't have the courage. You don't have to develop courage for awareness. If you build up awareness, courage will automatically come. That's a byproduct of awareness. Because where there is clarity, the fears will start diminishing. अंधेरा है तभी डर है. If things are not very clear in a room, if you enter the room and little dim light is there, you don't know what is fallen, where you might trample, what you might do. There is fear. But if the room is well lit, you will just walk through it. Simple. Clarity is there. The courage comes from there. Courage is not there when it is dimly lit. Our lives are all dimly lit. And it astonishes me that even the systems teach us to dim your light. Nobody will tell shine your light, because the moment you shine your light, you are independent. Control is gone out of you. I remember even Osho telling once, he was a being, he just scrutinized through every minute particle. He said, you rejoice in all these kind of joys, false joys. Oh, my son has done it, my daughter has done it, they've out flying colors. Oh, my son has got a job, my daughter has got a job abroad. Oh, my son has got an alliance fixed, getting married. But all this oh has got a deep sadness in it. Okay, Osho didn't say this, I'm telling you here. I was coming to his point, that's next. So that oh, what we call, even जो मिठाई बांटते हैं, मिठाई में भी दुख है अंदर से, क्योंकि कहीं ना कहीं पता है बिछड़ने वाले. Oh, that person is going abroad, now what to do? or getting married and going, now what to do? All my lifetime earnings of having held on to that support system is now going away from me. Worth it for all the investments that you have done for your own securities? So that happiness is actually fake. Happiness because you are celebrating, otherwise you'll be called a crook. The child has got a good alliance and a dream job, and you're not happy. You create happiness. You have to be happy. Then log kya kahenge? And then you celebrate, but inside you weep. You have lost your life investment. These all things happen very subconsciously. Awareness means it will catch this first within, not about outside. It will first, when this is happening, it will catch, oh, the crooked me, look at that. I didn't even know this. It will rejoice and say, oh my God, I am so cunning. That is integrity. That is authenticity. If we can develop such systems in our own being, I assure you, it is not difficult to realize the ultimate. Because it is the same awareness with this crisp and razor sharp discrimination that you are going to use as your sword in your seeking. Because anything you come across in spirituality with this sword of discrimination, you'll slash it. You'll with no mercy. See, here you're merciless in your own self. You are seeing the hypocrisy in you. And you're exposing yourself, not to tell the world, you're exposing it to yourself, and you're growing. The moment you expose yourself, you have grown one step ahead. That's evolution. You just jump one step up. Nobody there to measure you. What is the reward that you get for this? This is the reward for your honesty and integrity. The reward that you get is a leap in consciousness. A leap in consciousness. And we prevent these leaps. Now you know for what reasons. These leaps are prevented by us ourselves. We cannot take this leap. Because somewhere the cunning mind has convinced us. Keep going this way only. Somewhere you might reach somewhere. It will not happen. Everything of such cunningness has to be released. First, it has to be identified, the cunningness of the mind, then it has to be just let go on off. One by one, as you start shedding this, you will see suddenly amazing transformation happening within you. That is your conviction that the path is working, this awareness is working. And when you do that, now you're ready to look outside and discriminate anything and everything that is false. You will not agree to it. And you don't care. Just as you do not care about exposing your own self. You don't care if something outside also gets exposed to you. Of course, you're not going and talking it to people. These things are revealing to you. When it's revealing to you, you don't catch that what is false. You keep catching only that which is good. And eventually, that goodness also will melt and dissolve within you. That's how you sharpen. You filter out. For filtration, awareness is needed. If you don't proceed with this, how can you even imagine to get out of it? Because you are in all that damn conditioning. You saw all the conditioning that we talked about, the false beliefs, the wrong ideas we have, everything, and you're stuck in that, and you're doing tapas, standing on one leg. How's that going to help you? The rigidity is only improving more and more. The ego is again becoming more and strong. I need to do this now. Let me do this now so that I get this. It is only becoming more stronger. There's no problem in doing anything, but doing it in the right approach. The awareness to show this is wrong approach that I'm taking. So Osho was telling, see how delicate. I was talking about marriage. After marriage, and how you feel insecure after getting a dream job, your children getting a dream, how do you feel insecure? Osho was telling, the first walk that a child has, all this time you're catching the child, moving with it and guiding it and all. The parent develops ego itself. Osho was explaining that, so dependent on me, you're so happy, you're dependent, I can fully dominant, controlling this child. And the day he or she begins to walk the first independent step, Osho said, look at the faces of the parent. They will be happy, but deep inside there will be some unconscious fear or saddening. The thing is that, oh, I've lost my grip on this one. This one has become independent now. Can you see what the mind can do? Osho explains this. Osho was one person who was very ruthless in patterns, destroying patterns. And why many people did not stay with him was because of that. Many people hated him and did this and that to him because he spoke the truth. But no faster growth than that. If you can demolish all the old buildings, only then you can build the new ones. And what do? We know. What the mistakes that we do is in our so-called spiritual processes. That also Osho explained in one video, and that was very beautiful example. He said there was an government office and lot of files lying there. So the more the file, the heavier worker you are, the more you are known by that government office. Lot of files, piles of files, and he's lost in that files. You can't even see him where that clerk is. So the more the files mean, more the work and more the dignity of that person. So one day the boss says, too much of files in our place. We must get rid of all this. So get rid of all this. By then, I think the computer time had come. So he said, let it get entered into the soft copies and all that. And then destroy all these files. Too much of space it's occupying. It's looking dirty and filthy here. Too clogged up. Now you can reflect this with your mind. Files. Too much. Files. All these beliefs, conditions. So many things. Full. Mind is full. And somebody says, clean this up. Let's get all this destroyed. And the boss orders and goes. So the subordinate now takes up the work and they say, okay, get all these files aligned and load it into trucks. So where is the truck going to go? Oh, it is going for some work. Oh, it is going to be burnt. No, 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 no. We are not going to burn it. We're going to store it somewhere else. Then it's a different headache. No, 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 no. It's not. Then what? He said we are sending it for photocopy. Photocopying means Xerox files. We will destroy all these files, but before destroying, take one Xerox of everything, all the files. The rigid mind doesn't want to get rid of it. It thinks that it is destroying. All our processes are like that. It feels that it is going to destroy and get rid of everything, but still it is not leaving. Another example that beautiful comes with this is there was a big church, and the old, very old church, many century old church it is. And the church is so historic and it's like a monument. The government has preserved it. Now the church biggest thing is that the masses are going on it. The church functions, the ceremonies, all this taking place, and people are going. It's in a village. Only one church they've got, big church. Now the problem is, after many centuries, the church is shaking. The walls have become weak. It can collapse anytime. One thunder, one lightning, it can collapse. And you don't know how many will perish with it. So now the villagers are tensed. What to do with this now? And we can't stop our religious service also. We have to go to church. So for that, now some plan has to come. So they go to the village heads and they all come to a conclusion and they say, this church has to be now demolished. It has to be now demolished, and later a new church can be built, a strong one, in the same place. So everybody agree, because yeah, life is more important and the old one is all crumbling down. But again, the villagers are so attached to the old one. They say it was a monument, our ancestors, blah 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 blah. So how can we get rid of this? Then they say there is no other option. You got to demolish it completely and build a new temple, a new church. This is exactly what we are trying to do. We try to demolish all the old systems, and then only you can create something new. First you got to empty yourself, then you got to create something new, because the old patterns will not allow you to create new patterns. So the old has to demolish. So they got all together and they took the measurement, everything, and they started building. Now before building, all that they did was, they said, we will now demolish the whole church, but we will take the same stones, the same old church, everything, and build up the same church here again. Everything, that was their only condition. We will rebuild a new church, but the only thing is, we are not going to let go of this old bricks and old church, because they belong to so much prized possessions, and the old church cannot go. So we will construct a new church, but it will be made up of the same materials. So what he was trying to point out there is, exactly we are doing the same. We want something new in life, but we are not able to let go. All the cunning mind keeps playing all these games. This Xerox, this building this with the same material. Why do you need the same material? You can build a place of worship which is much more neater and nicer and stronger in today's world, but your attachment to that old wants to recreate out of the old stuff only, which no more works. So to let go of that conditionings is so difficult. That is why many cannot go beyond a certain level. Fear stops you. I told you, no, when I told about Swami Samartha peeing on a image, oh, immediately they started doing mantras, because it has been taught to people that you cannot see anything beyond other than what you believe. That's all. So difficult, so difficult. Until that demolishing does not happen, which the world will not allow you, mind you. Demolishing, no systems will allow you. All the systems around you will not allow demolishing. Demolishing means freedom. Mukt ho gaya. You're a free thinker. You can think for yourself. But I've seen the catches are, the philosophy is on freeing, but the principles are binding. The aim is to free a person. The processes are built up in such a way that aim is chalo, mukti. But there are so many conditions attached in that mukti that you can't be mukt only. There are liabilities, there are conformities. And if you are not aware of this, you cannot. Your mind will not agree, your system will not agree. Because the fear, the old systems, the beliefs will not let you go and take a step further in anything else. So you will conform, because conformity is safety. It's safe. My church is not collapsing, it's safe. Even if it is built on old materials, or some way they have put sticks and stones and making it stand, it's okay. Let it not collapse. And one day, if the care is not taken, the whole church will collapse. Church will perish, and the people under that church will perish. Why? Because you have not changed with the changing times. You're still in the old fashioned system that, this church is everything to you. Church belongs to you. Church is your identity. Church is everything. Church is God. But changing times are telling you, no, you got to get rid of the old systems, old belief systems, newer ways. And simple spirituality is very simple. Simple thing: demolish the church, build up a new church. Less time, less effort, less maintenance, less cost. No, we preserve that, we maintain that, we take all the headaches, we live in stress, we live in constant fear, we live in more maintenance. We don't want to simplify things. Why simplify things? And then we end up in doing. All the time we are maintaining our old church. Old church is old pride, old belief systems. You cannot get free by this. So, summoning it up, all that prevents you from your own realization of the ultimate or realizing your own self is you. You denotes the mind slash ego. Until you become aware that I'm the culprit or my mind is the culprit, nothing can be done further. That is where the problem lies. That is why societies have not changed. That is why the world has not transformed. That is why billions of people inhabit this earth, but no transformations takes place. No evolution takes place spiritually. Why only a handful? Because only a handful can actually bear through these facts and truths. The others live in fantasy. The others live in imagination. That with all this doing, with maintaining all the old churches, we can still achieve it. If that achievement is there, then it should be seen, but it cannot be seen. There are no achievements in that level or in that field. It's only a false hope that's standing there in that old church, somewhere giving a symbolic expression that something, someday, something is going to change. And those who are believers, damn hardcore believers who cannot use their own free will and thinking and awareness, they will believe. And everybody looks into the church and say, this is going to redeem us. One day, the prayers in this will be answered. Believers will believe that Christ will come back. Believers, staunch believers. He's going to come back and they wait for him. In another tradition, they will wait for an avatar to come. Belief is so easy, it's so safe. Belief is laziness. Oh, finally, I don't have to work anything on me. Some avatar, some Christ will come and save me, and I remain the same Dumbo that I was. So we are agreeing in one way to ourselves that this Dumbo cannot be changed by anybody else. It needs a special incarnation to come and change. When this is put together, it becomes collective, a group. So the belief systems we like listening to. I would rather go and pray in a church or pray in a mosque or in a temple. In temple, I'll bang my head, I'll bring the coconut, I'll do everything. I'll offer all the bribes to the gods and do a barter system, which I've been doing in my world. I do an under table payment to a government official. I do an under table payment to get my work done somewhere. So I do an under table payment for God also. Here's a donation. Here is an offering. Here's something that you can, so that I can get something. This is our ideology of the give and take. And that is why spirituality doesn't work after a certain system, because all these are based on beliefs. You just believe, and with belief, there is only hope. You keep hoping. Waiting for an avatar is hoping based on a belief. And you can hope forever. Who can stop you? But that's a very beautiful way to escape your own awareness, and see things in light. It doesn't come very easily. It comes only to mature seekers. It comes only to people who have risen above a certain level of consciousness where they can see into these things and even understand or relate to what I'm talking right now. पल्ले नहीं पड़ेगा किसी का ये. So they'll sit with their mouth open and say, what is this guy talking about? कुछ तो बकवास करते रहता है. हम अपनी बकवास रखेंगे तैयार, करते रहेंगे उस चीज को, लेकिन कोई बकवास नहीं सुनेंगे जो इस बकवास को खत्म कर सके. That's how the cunning mind is. Well, that's free will. That's people's wish. If I want to remain a slave to the systems of this world created by man, I remain. Who can stop you? Nobody can stop. And you call that surrender? What did I say? Nothing. It's not surrender, it's slavery. When somebody has a remote and you become a robot to it. The moment you get tired and you let go of those systems, of that connection of that remotes, and just be in the being, things start happening to you. Who said if you are in the being, things won't happen? This is the biggest ego that the ego can create. That until I do something, nothing is going to happen. The whole world functions on that. Only if we do something, we are going to hear. This applies only to human beings. Look into the animal kingdom, plant kingdom, mineral kingdom. They don't have to do anything, sustain or maintain. It spontaneously happen. Even a bird will not go and hoard something. Even a wild animal will not attack and overeat until it is hungry. It is based on instincts. It doesn't worry that tomorrow I have to hunt something. What will happen after tomorrow and day after and next week and so on. Only human beings have this kind of worry, and that is why they discovered the refrigerator and banks hoarding, unsure of tomorrow. So the hoarding pattern has come. Even the hoarding is not done by ants. It does only in the rainy season because there are rains, it cannot go out and fetch its food. So even if the hoarding is, it is done only for that season. Rest of the season, it doesn't hoard. Instinctive. Who's running that ant? Who's running the colony of ants? Who's running the flock of birds? जिसने चुग्गा दिया वो दाना भी देगा, किसने बताया? Who has given the beak will give the worm also. It's all an automated system. It works perfectly well when in the surrender mode. If you ask me, a bird is in surrender, a dog is in surrender, a cat is in surrender, animals are in surrender, plants are in surrender. They don't do, they are just being there. And we have named this humans called being, human being, and no being in them. It should have been a bird being, animal being. They are in the being. They are no doers. Animals do. Humans do all this. And see how the irony, the ego of man, the oh, human being, we are beings. Superior, most superior beings. In what way? Animals and birds live more joyfully and freely than most of the humans. They live and die in glory. हर हाल में खुश. Somebody said here, some message here. Ramesh Tomar. Why it is true that Babaji says, Teri raza mein meri raza jo Shiva gya, but how to know what is God's will for us? Because the thought we are considering God's will for us can be easily our own past conditioning. How to recognize God's will from our conditioned will. Now, first tell me, who is this God? Rameshji, if you can explain what is this God? Because once you become clear of that, then all things will become clear to you. You said the master says, Teri raza mein your will be done, thy will be done. But what is that interpretation of the God that you're saying? Where is that God who's going to do something for you? You said, what is God's will for us? How will we know it is not our conditioning? Now, who it depends on what who do you think as that God? That some is there some entity that is sitting there and deciding something for your past or future? Because normally we go with that. When we say God, we automatically there is a subconscious identity that there is an entity who's looking at us, who's watching us, and who's taking care, who's planning things for us. God has better things to do than sit and plan for us. Whatever that God definition that you're giving about. So you come to me with what is God? Then I can explain that further. Because if you're taking it from that point, that there is some entity who's sitting and planning, then it will be a different answer. But if it is not that, which is really not that, then it will be a different answer. This har hal mein khush, happiness and freedom in all states. What is this har hal mein khush? You look around again. Who you'll see har hal mein khush? Kutte, billiyan, chidiyan. They're happy. They can't smile, that's another thing. They can't laugh like us, they're another thing. But you see prasanna, they'll be carefree. All instinct based. Instinct is just for survival, that's all. Protection. I seen my cat is so scared all the time. It's scared. It's very very scary. It hears a sound, it is scared. Somebody comes into it, it's scared. Some conditioning, that's all fine. But again, it is instinctive. Because suddenly a dog will run from outside and it will run away from here. It will run and try to find a safe place in the house. Somewhere it will corner, it will go and sit. And the shana, next moment you hold it or you put a ball for it to play, it's forgotten. Then it is fully playful. It's running around the ball. Just 1 second back, 5 seconds back, there was a dog that was trying to chase it. And its heartbeat went, it could run so fast. Flight and fight response. So when I hold it, I can see duk, 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 duk. It's scared. But the very next moment, it gets a ball and it's into the play. It's gone into that. Humans cannot do that. This duck, 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 duck will be there for I don't know how long in humans. Why? Because these animals live in the present moment. They are completely surrendered. And who surrender? They don't even know they are surrendered. That's they are living. That's their being. They are in the being. So the God that we call somebody who's sitting beyond the cloud with a long white beard and who's deciding your future. If you think that is God, then that is another new or old belief that you have. So what you're doing is you're moving from this conditioning and you're saying that I don't want to get conditioned, I want to get free now and surrender to that God sitting in the cloud. What has happened is asman se gira khajur mein atka. You have just moved from one conditioning to another conditioning. That also is a belief that you have about God. It's same like demolishing the old church, but building the same church with the same material. It is same like getting rid of the files but taking a photocopy of it. This is how the mind plays. It will not allow you freedom. For me, God means presence, which we feel when we are in silence. How to differentiate awareness, God's will, and our own past conditioning? See, now you have answered your own question. Now, when you say, for me, God means presence, which we feel we are in silence. Now, who is awareness? When I tell you become aware, what is becoming aware? The presence that you are. You are a presence sitting here right now. Come on, let's do this. You are sitting right now watching this. Who is watching this? There is somebody beyond that ears and eyes. Your eyes are not watching this. You are watching through the eyes. Now, who's that you? You is nothing but there is a presence in this body. Try to find where are you in your body. In your hand, finger, toes, nails, head, chest, stomach. Where are you? You cannot pinpoint to one place because you are everywhere in your body. You are completely aware of your whole body. The presence is living, you can say, in the body. There is a presence in you. That presence is that aliveness of the body. The presence is moved about, the body is a corpse. What keeps the body alive? It is that presence that is inhabiting this body right now. It is staying in this body, limited in this body. Where is that presence? The whole of you. You just become aware of your knees, you will find your presence there. Yes, you are there. Just become aware of your right knee. Just become aware of your right knee. There are some sensations, some feeling. Now, who is the one that is becoming aware of that place and can sense the sensation? Who's the one who can feel the knee right now from within without you touching with your hand? You don't have to touch your knee. I'm saying without touching your knee also, just become aware of your right knee. Right now, just become. See, there is a presence there moving in your knee. Some presence is experiencing the knee there. The moment you say you want to become aware, there is, so that awareness, that presence was already there, but it was not activated. Right now, when I just said, suddenly the knee area became present, awakened. Was the knee dead? Knee was not dead. Knee was there. But the awareness, the presence became aware of that knee. Why? The moment you send a command. Because you are that presence spread everywhere. Anywhere you localize, you try to become aware, it is you, the presence, who's becoming aware of it. That presence is what you call the self, the soul. This is the being that is there. Now, this presence does not do anything. See the difference. Who's the doer? For that, you need a tool called mind. So, the same presence right now, which became aware of your knee, when that presence shifts into your mind or your manomaya kosha, it highlights everything in the mind and the mind becomes alive. The contents of the mind become alive. Depending on how deep and how strong those contents are, the mind will start reflecting that kind of truths to you because that presence has become now present in the mind. The same presence which now was watching and observing the knee, when it became aware of the mind, suddenly the mind became alive. So in today's session that I was doing with the doctor from Gujarat, they are very logical doctors usually because science has gone too much into the brains. Science is dominated by the mind is dominated completely when you are in science. So it's a little difficult. So when through this presence thing, when I said, and suddenly the presence became present and alive, and I was saying, just become aware of that presence. That presence is what you are, the true you. When that presence becomes aware of the knee, you will notice that there is no thought in your mind. That's the catch. Try doing it in any part of your body. Just become fully aware of that knee, the knee joint, the fluid in the joint. Just right now become aware. The right knee, there is a kneecap. From inside become aware, like a 3D experience. You're having it from interdimensional, from all areas inside the knee. Become aware. Now, who's doing that inside feeling? That's your presence that is feeling inside. The you, the presence. Become aware of the knee joints inside, the synovial fluid there, the ligaments there that are stretching, the blood vessels there, the tissues, the nerves, everything that is there. Just become aware completely from within. See, now watch. Are there any thoughts right now in your mind? It's not there. The mind will suspend itself when you're doing this process. What has happened? That present is now present in the knees. Now, if you spread your awareness in your whole body, the gross body, and become present inside your whole body, you can do that. Feel from top to bottom everything, all the organs simultaneously, your lungs, your kidneys, your heart, your brain, your eyes, your toes, your knees, everything at one moment. Just feel it. There is a presence that is feeling everything at one time inside. Just become aware of it. The whole body, right from the brain to the arms, both the arms, you're aware of everything. You are alive in all these aspects in the body. Who's the one who's alive? The presence. The presence is present throughout the body. This is one of my very regular practice. If I just do this, I conk off into samadhi. And I can't tell you how quick it is. What happens right now? See, just do it. Just become present. Just become present and alive in your body. Feel the aliveness completely from top to bottom. Become fully aware of the presence that you are. Be present in every single cell of the body. You might not understand it in the starting. So you might suddenly become a brain, and then suddenly you might go into your heart, and then suddenly knees. That's okay. The whole idea is to spread that and become aware of everything at one time in your body. With practice, it happens easier. Now, right now, just observe the mind is suspended. Mind cannot work. Thoughts will decrease to such an extent, or it will be almost absolutely nil. Why? Because the presence is busy being present elsewhere, but not in the mind. That's the catch. That's a secret, if you want, you can call it. Because when you are not present, listen carefully. When you are not present, when you are not aware of your presence, automatically it is a function, the awareness falls into the mind. So if you are not in awareness, where are you? You are in your mind. And what is this whole episode today explaining about? Problem being the mind. So you are in the problem, if you ask me, if you are not in awareness. Simple. If you are not in awareness, you are in the problem. So Ramesh Tomar, what you asked, how to differentiate God's will and my own will? Not very difficult. My own will happens when I am in the mind. God's will happens when I am not in the mind, means when I am in my presence. Because what is presence? Atman. What is Atman? Nothing but a Ansh of Paramatman. So you are actually in the God self. That is why it is known as God self. You attune and become aware and present in your presence. That presence is Atman, the soul, the self. You are now being present in the presence, which is nothing but God. That means you are already one with that God Tattva. This is why I asked you, what is God according to you? So I didn't have to go to the theory of somebody in the clouds. You said it is, for me, God means presence. Can you see it has come back to that? Same thing. God means presence for you. And here I am saying you are presence, means you are God. Aham Brahmasmi और क्या है meaning? It is the same meaning. I am Shiva हम बोलते हैं. It is this meaning. It is not just parroting by heart वाला teaching. I am Shiva. I am Shiva. बोलने से शिवा नहीं होते. Experientially you got to be that Shiva. Aham Brahmasmi. You have got to experience how is Aham Brahmasmi. How Tattvamasi. How am I that? What is that? That is that God. I am that. That is what? Presence, what you said, Ramesh. I am that means I am presence. And that is what we just now did. I am presence. So if this is crystal clear to you, and if you live in this presence, automatically you are living in the present. Automatic it is. So if you live in the presence, you are living in God. This living in God is called as Yogastha Kuru Karmani. What Lord Krishna said to Arjuna, always be connected to me. What is that me? That. And who's that? I am that. I am the Christ consciousness. I am Krishna consciousness. So Yoga Skuru Karmani means being in this presence. You're automatically attuned with God. And then that is God. If that is God, then it's the will of God. This is called the divine will. And the other opposite to divine will is free will. Free will comes from ego and mind. So how will I know if I am in my ego or mind, or if I am in my awareness? My presence will tell me. How will I know if I am connected to God's will, divine will, or my ego will? Just look at where your presence is. If you are not in the presence, if you are not experiencing your presence, ultimately 100% you have to be by default in the mind. So when you are in the mind, you are in the ego, you are in the free will. That's your will, karta. And when you are not there, I just showed it to you, demonstrated to you here. When you are here, you cannot have thoughts. You cannot have the mind. You are either here or there. So shifting into awareness means shifting into godliness, shifting into presence, shifting into divine will, shifting into being from doership, from ego, from limitations, from free will. Is that clear to you now? So if you have any questions on this, you can certainly ask. And as I told, this will not be very clearly ascertained by everybody. Only those who have chosen. Chosen means there are no chosen one from outside. We choose our own realities. We choose for ourselves. So chosen ones means we choose for us. We choose whether we want to be in awareness. We want to evolve or not. There is nobody from outside. Depending on how you choose, the world chooses for you. If you choose ignorance, the world is waiting out there to teach you cleverness. If you choose awareness, no amount of the world can teach you anything because you are self taught. You're self sufficient. Vrindasha, very well explained. Feeling relaxed. You have to feel relaxed. Why? Because when you shift into awareness, you are in your being. Being is always relaxed. What is worried and tensed all the time? The mind and ego. So that's an indication. These are all physical indications. If you feel relaxed when you're listening even to this satsang, and if you feel relaxed, you have settled down in your awareness. As simple as that. You have moved your space. You are in the presence. If you're feeling jittery all the time, then you are not yet in the awareness. You are still in the mind. Mind is full of jitteriness. So we can choose. It's all upon us where we want to shift our attention, our awareness into. Whether we want to shift into awareness or we want to shift into the ego self or the mind. So today's whole catch was all about knowing that I am presence. And if I am presence, I'm not alone. When I say we come alone, we go alone, that is just for the mind again. Actually, we are not alone. Ramesh, it's instantaneous by we can shift. But in practical life, we have to plan for future, take decision for work, how to practically plan from awareness position. That's what I'm saying. I don't say that you give up everything because your doership and everything. Then it is possible. It is possible to give up that, but that must happen very spontaneously. That is why my master never taught Teri Raza Meri Raza. Very rarely, once, I think once or twice he mentioned, and I remember him telling very clearly that this is a state that will spontaneously happen. You cannot do it. Do means again the doer is trying to undo it. It's a complication. So rather, I don't ask people to do awareness. I say just shift into that awareness, and the rest will automatically be taken care of. You will be guided accordingly. What is best for you? And there are times when you need to use the mind. It is not that the mind is an enemy and his mind is not needed. You throw off your mind. I'm not saying that, because if it was meant to be thrown away, why would it have been given to you? It has been given to you as a tool. The only problem is when we do not know to utilize the tool, and that same tool becomes our enemy. This is what Krishna said: Man aapka dushman, man aapka mitra. Mind can be your enemy, mind can be your best friend. It is how you choose to do it. So here, when we are moving into awareness, it doesn't mean that your mind is an enemy and you're running away from it. It just means that mind, if you live in the mind, the more you live in the mind, the more complications are there, because all the time you're in the mind. But we are saying stay in awareness at almost all the time whenever you need. But you do need the mind also to function. But now, when you move to the mind only for that limited function, you will be able to use that mind as a friend. See, even to create, manifest, you need the mind. Without mind, you cannot. You have to use that mind. But how can you use the mind when it is full of old churches and old files? That's the problem. So, when it becomes too overwhelming, instead of living in that mind which has got all these old files and old churches built up there, it's better to live in awareness and allow these to crumple by itself. But whenever you need the necessity of the mind, you do use the mind. But now you are an aware mind, it's an awakened mind. When you're using the mind, you will use it very properly. You'll not get carried away by it. You will notice while you're in the mind that this is whether this is an old church or a new church, old file or a new file. You'll notice the patterns. You will be able to use the see, that is where the discrimination comes into place. The mind is not a dangerous place. The mind, I am repeating, listen very carefully. The mind is not a dangerous place, but it can be a dangerous place without the intellect. Chidakasha Gita very clearly explains राजा की होना जरूरी है प्रजा के लिए. Praja is the mind, Raja is the intellect, buddhi. Without the king, everything is chaos here. Our problem is we are not using the intellect. In the start of this video, I used everything about intellect. I was talking everything about intellect. How to use discriminate, the sword of discrimination. If you are there for this live, you'll see how to use the sword of discrimination. Who uses the sword of discrimination? It's all happening in the mind only. The selectiveness to choose right and wrong happens in the mind only. When you got a decision to take, it happens in the mind. The decision is taken in the mind. But if you have the talwar, the sword of discrimination, very powerfully, the viveka active, then you can properly see what is right and what is wrong, what is true and what is untrue. To sharpen your discrimination, you need awareness. Awareness is what sharpens your buddhi. What I'm trying to say is you spend more time in your awareness so that good keeps on happening. But when you got to take decisions, when you got to do any future planning, whatever that things are, you got to take care of certain things. Move into the mind, but be aware. The present should not die there. When you are using your mind, the awareness should be active there so that the mind cannot play games there. And you know what your mind is up to. You are not unconscious when your mind is functioning. So when the awareness is all the time there, watching your mind, you will only take the proper decisions because that awareness is what? The presence itself. That presence only is guiding through your mind also. The whole problem is because the mind is filled up with old stuff. That's what makes it confusing. And we are purifying what all these methods that you're doing. What are you doing? Actually, you're scrubbing off all this unwanted vasanas, samskaras from your mind level. They are getting slowly erased. That's one way. The other way is to not water it. If vasanas and tendencies and samskaras are watered, they keep developing and getting a strong hold on the mind ego. So we shift into awareness, we live in awareness. And whenever you are using the mind, you'll see that the awareness is there on the mind also. Awareness is now working through the buddhi, discrimination. See, it's very important to sharpen your buddhi. Whole Chidakasha Gita is explaining only how to sharpen the buddhi, the intellect, all the time. Because if your viveka is jagrit and developed, your decisions will never go wrong. What is it that fears? How will I decide right or wrong? It is my dull intellect. When my intellect is dull, I'm not sure of myself. Lack of confidence means my intellect, buddhi is very weak. So I don't know whether I'll take a right decision. So I need to ask a third person. Buddhi is weak. But if that buddhi is developed through my awareness, then I am confident that whatever decision I take, it's good. And that is the phase when we start transcending the mind. When you start taking decisions that are only in alignment with the divinity, with awareness, when you keep doing that, keep doing it, and all these old castles, old churches and old files start demolishing, and when there is nothing else left, that state is when you transcend to just vidhi rakhe us vidhi rahi, teri raza mein meri raza. Because now there is nothing, no free will left. All my free will, the ego, the mind has been dissolved. So at that state only one can openly say तेरी रजा में मेरी रजा. मेरे friends मेरे को बहुत dialogue मारते हैं. Sometimes when we are going with something and all, they hit the dialogue, जिस विधि राखे उस विधि रही. अरे मीनिंग तो बताओ, बोले तो nobody knows the meaning. और गुरु ने हमारे रट के बोला था और हमने रट लिया उस चीज को. So it's not about just talking about it. When the guru is talking about it, he is in that state. When Jesus Christ said, "Thy will be done," he was in that state where his free will had all died up. There was only divine will left. So he said, "Okay, your will, my will." And the Guru and the Master says they are in that state where the free will, the ego has died off. They say, "Teri raza mein meri raza." जो शिव आ गया, एवरीथिंग सब मंजूर है, ऐसे भी मंजूर वैसे भी मंजूर, no complaints. Even dukkha, so called dukkha, they know it is for a higher reason. So when we also enter into whatever we call as pain or suffering or this or that, we say it's your will. Teri raza mein meri raza. Teri raza mein meri raza is not only in happiness, even in that pain and suffering and whatever is happening, thy will be done. Because something is getting exhausted, some prarabdha is getting exhausted, and I am in agreement to that. There's no complaint, no grudges. I say that's also okay. Kabhi khushi, kabhi gum, okay. Then only it results in हर हाल में खुशी. हर हाल means what? ये हाल भी ठीक, वो हाल भी ठीक, अच्छा हाल भी ठीक, बुरा हाल भी ठीक. हर हाल में ये हाल हो, वो हाल हो, खुशी. Who can be happy in both these states? Only the one who has surrendered. Surrendered means what? Not the remote wala. The one, the tired hoke, now is settled in the being. So in the being, when whatever happens, it's all fine. Yesterday I made a video at night. Yesterday or day before yesterday, I forgot. That people were scared. Oh, what will happen? What is going to happen? Is this going to happen? Is that going to happen? So if you are truly in har hal mein khushi, ye hal mile, wo hal mile, how does it really matter? What has to happen will happen. If you sit worrying about it, nothing is going to change. When death has to come, it will come. So what does this mean? Total acceptance of situations. When acceptance means har hal mein khush. So it's very contradicting when people say, "Oh, I am har hal mein khush," and then the next moment they are worrying. Then where is this teaching of yours gone? If you are so worried, I told you, no, there are many questions unanswered. When people talk to me, I ask them questions. It's very unanswered. And if you can't give me an answer, then it drives me away. Jody Ann Roberts. I now practice observing self daily as though I'm outside my body. Doesn't matter. Whether you function through inside the body or outside, what we did just now was inside the body. This is step one. Where to become aware of your own body, you are the presence, you are the soul that is stuck in this body. The right word is stuck in this body because of your karma. So you are just becoming aware of that one that is stuck in this body. You cannot live before time. All that you can do is become aware of who's this one who's stuck in this body. That's inside perspective. But when you expand and go into your sukshma shariras, all the four shariras, subtle bodies that you have, then same experience turns into outside. Then you start observing from outside. The same one which I thought, when you merge into the tattva, the pancha tattva, pancha mahabhuta, when you enter into the ether, the akash tattva, you have done that before. Suddenly you see an expanse of yourself, you're in the outside, and then you can see the one who's sitting in the room. I've told you that where your presence is now in the akash tattva, and then I say become aware of you sitting in the room. That is another dimensional view from outside. That also can happen. What are these? These are all practices. First, you practice from inside. You become aware of your grossness. Why I start from this? Because this is proof. Otherwise, this is only philosophy, bhashan. There has to be proof. When you become aware of your stomach, good movement will begin. When you become aware of your palm, the heat waves will start moving. When you become aware of your knee, suddenly you will find some sensation. So your body is giving you a proof that wherever your attention goes, energy flows there. Your presence is there. It is giving you a proof. So once you start mastering this physical inner inner from the inner perspective, then next is you shift outside. But this is very important from inside also. Inside outside, it's a holographic effect. This is what we are talking about, oneness. What is oneness? There's no difference between inside and outside. Macrocosm and the microcosm, same fundamentals. So first you go with the micro, and then you go into the macro, and then you are experiencing you within this limited body. Then you are expanding yourself and experiencing yourself outside this physical body. And then you realize that you are there and you are here. And once you start realizing that, then it's not difficult for that awareness to know that I'm everywhere. That's how we lead step by step into it. It's not hurrying with it. It's not just philosophy. It's practicing and becoming aware, experiencing it. Your experience is your biggest guru, your biggest teacher, because that will teach you. Your experience will teach you. And then when you start observing this, then the third step finally goes to abiding in that self. Then it's very easy to abide in that self. Because this, what I told you, is not really the self, but I don't want to confuse you. For this much we understand, this much is fine. Because this presence which is there, if you can take this presence, the you that is there is something that is aware of the presence also. When you become aware of that something which is aware of this presence, that is realizing the self. That for some other time, I don't want to get too much uh, confused into all this thing. I don't want to confuse anybody with all this, because this, till we talk, it is only concepts. So what I'm saying is, experience it step by step, like we experience a little few seconds. And we are going to do some sessions again, which is going to be a paid event. There I'm going to only do these practices, because I've done enough talking in these videos. All are introductory, all have depths of understanding of what we are talking about. Now the experience part, I want to keep it uh, in the private, because there we don't have people coming and curiously seeing what is this happening, and oh, is this में कुछ फायदा है क्या. Forget it. फायदा नुकसान के बियॉन्ड जब जाएंगे, तब ही असली स्पिरिचुअलिटी है माय डियर, असली अध्यात्म. You have to rise beyond all these things. And I'm telling you, until you are not left all these conditionings of yours, it's very difficult, very, very difficult to even understand what we are talking here. Forget the experience part of it. So it is not for everybody. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but whoever is ready for it, we can experience it in that manner. So things will become easier for us. And this is an unending journey. It's not that I have reached the pinnacle now. I'm like a Buddha talking. No, it's an ongoing journey, again and again. It keeps going. There's no end to it. Buddhahood is not the final hood. Buddhahood is not the final hood. No masters have claimed that they have reached the ultimatum. They are all still proceeding deeper and deeper. It's an infinite journey. I can feel the micro and macro and the vast expanse by here. Good, G. Very nice. Oh, Ramesh, you send a message. I saw it now. Like plane practically from peace position. Like plan practically from peace position. I already mentioned that. When you are more in your awareness, you become aware of your mind also at the same time, and your mind is cooking up a lot of things. Now there are two ways to look at that mind. If awareness is looking at that mind, it will cook up only good things. It will not do anything that is contradictory. If your awareness is not there, then the mind is all the time. Then you get entangled in the contents of the mind. So for any plan, the awareness has to be. I always give this example of CCTV. The CCTV is the closed circuit television camera is there, and a thief enters inside. This is your thought. This is your planning. Now दिस इज गड़बड़ थॉट. गड़बड़ चोर गड़बड़ ही करता है. कुछ तो गड़बड़ करने आया है. It has entered inside. This is your awareness that is just watching. It is not doing anything. It's just watching. It's not telling you, hey, get out, or does the camera do that? Who are you? What are you doing? Nothing. It's just watching. Even if this person is not attentive of this, it's still watching silently. And this person goes on doing all the wrong things, the mind. Suddenly it becomes aware of this camera. The moment it becomes aware, do you think this robber will do the same thing? No. It will stop. It will become dazzled. It will look at this. Suddenly it will become shy, embarrassed, fearful. Everything will stop. This is how the mind is. The moment it becomes aware that the awareness is watching it, all the cunningness will drop there. Because now it knows you cannot. And the awareness is catching the cunningness. So it just drops and freezes. And the thief will just walk out. Means those kind of things will just leave your mind. It will not happen. What remains there, what will continue doing the work in the CCTV, like if it is installed in an office, an honest employee will continue working routinely. What am I too scared of? Oh, I know there's a CCTV watching. What is there? An employee is doing it. I'm doing my job. So as far as I'm doing my job, honestly, I have nothing to fear the camera. But if I am doing something wrong, like I'm taking an under table bribe, or I'm peeking into the girl or boy next door, or trying to eat my tiffin or something, or sneak something, or not in my chair, something I'm doing wrong, then I'm always alert and I will not do anything wrong. That's what I mean to say. The mind, under the alertness of the awareness, will not do anything wrong. So that is why this awareness has to be on 24 by 7. Sanjay Singh, mind is dissolved by sadhana or be in the witness form. See, mind does not get completely dissolved by any doership. It can be in the witness form, but directly going into the witness form, I'm answering some practical questions here. Okay, Sanjay Singh has asked a nice question. Is mind dissolved by sadhana, or can I just keep watching it and be aware and it will get dissolved? Very beautiful question. It depends on the kind of storage that you have. Too much of storage, कितना भी आप CCTV लगाओ, and the mind has got too cluttered now. There are 2 3 crooks who are standing inside and hiding the camera, and they are eating from inside, and the camera doesn't catch it. Very difficult. Now it's blurred vision. The camera has become dull, not sharp enough to catch it, or the mind has become too cunning, over cunning, over. It can even dodge these things, and that is what happens to us. We all know about awareness, but still our mind does what it has to do. It's playing the games. So the awareness is not yet sharpened to that level. That level sadhana is important. I've been through all that. It's not that I have not done any sadhana or anything. I've done. It has to reduce these games. These buggers have to dealt with. All inside crooks have to be dealt with properly. And I my advice is, if you are doing this kind of a job of dealing with these crooks by doing sadhana also, do it, but don't forget this CCTV. What we do is we are so involved in this cutting business here, and chasing away all these thoughts and unwanted things and having a battle with them literally, that you lose this awareness. Then if this is loose, you don't know what you're doing here. Something has to be. So the awareness has to be there. Use it to be very conscious of even the sadhana that you do. When you're doing sadhana also, be aware of it. The quality of sadhana changes with awareness. And you can see when awareness is not there, most of you complain, I am unable to do sadhana. I am unable to sit for some time. I cannot relax myself. My body is not sitting. My mind is not sitting. Even 10 15 minutes, I cannot do my sadhana. Why? This consciousness is absent. It's become very dry and robotic. And the mind will not allow you to do sadhana. It will play because all crooks only there. What can it do? It will all cunning. It will find ways to dodge, it will find ways of interpretation, it will do all the nonsense. That is why awareness is needed. This form of awareness is very, very important. So whether you do sadhana or don't do sadhana, awareness must be there. And after a certain time, when the rigidity of this mind and ego, because mind and ego can be too strong, it needs whipping and lashing. But once it starts crumbling down and little light starts seeping in, then it becomes easier and easier and easier and easier. So one might choose to do it to the last extent, the sadhana, or one might just want to shaken up everything, and then enough light is there, and now the spread of this light is so strong that this cannot play games. So when that awareness that much has been developed, then you can use this tool to empower the mind and to be in your presence more and leave the mind alone when it has to be left. And when you don't water the mind, it cannot grow. All these vasanas, seeds and tendencies all start dissolving when you don't give attention to it. This is what Ramana said in one of the Ramana Tattva. He said that the more you abide in yourself, you shift into yourself and be in your Atman. Who am I? Be in that I, that presence at all times. And he says, the more you are in that, the more the seeds of your karma will be burnt. The vasanas, the seeds of vasanas keep getting destroyed, the more you are in abidance with the self. But everybody cannot enter into that state. That's the catch. Because if it was so easy, then all the lazy people would have said, nah, enough of doing, let me jump into it. And people try to do it. That is why in one of the live session I said, this tattva is not for the tamasic. It's easy for tamasic people to say, no doership, no effort, nothing. I'll sit on the couch and let self-realization happen to me. It won't happen. It's a big catch there. So it is, you have to have this doership, because what did I say? The bird thakna chahiye. It will do, and in that whole attempt of the tiring itself, only it can learn naturally to settle down. You cannot settle with force. The ego cannot settle down itself. Are you getting it? So yes, it can be dissolved by both. It depends on what is your content. Like, if I give you a simple example, let us take a bhakta, just a devotee who's running to the temples all the time, offering some clothes to gods, offering to some coconuts, some money, some prasad, some this and that, doing this ritual, that ritual, because somewhere there is a belief, if I do this, I'll get something. That is Rudta. That is Kattarpanti. Means the substance has not yet dissolved. The ego is still strong. It's still in that form. Of the form, it can accept only the form, and there are conditions and all that. So when somebody is in that state and too engrossed, I don't mean everybody is that way. There can be some, you look at people who are whipping themselves, who are rolling on the ground, who are doing this and that torture to their bodies, who are fasting day and night, who are banging their head on temple walls, offering sacrifices, doing what all. For them, they cannot dissolve by the witness form. Those people cannot even get close to this subject, what we are talking, the awareness and all that. You tell them also, it will not make any sense to them, because the grossness is too heavy to understand. These are very subtle, very, very subtle little truths, very high subtle points, what we are talking right now. So if you offer the subtlest to the grossest person, they will reject it. Not because they are wrong or something. They don't know. They can't ascertain. They cannot even understand what you're talking. Are you getting it? You go to a worldly person, you go to a criminal and talk all this. It won't make any sense. That person might crucify you, kill you. And that is what happened. When people who are not awakened are tried to be told these things, they can get beyond your life because they don't understand. It's a threat to them. Some nonsense. So this path is not for everybody. This path means, what I means is about the self and abidance in the self, the awareness and all this. This stages, sorry, path is not the right word because then that's another catch. Asman se gira khajur mein atka. One path to the other. This state of consciousness is what I refer to as the pathless path. All the paths also dissolve. Because at one stage, when I'm saying microcosm, macrocosm, when all you're experiencing in and out, everything is one, there's no difference anywhere. When there is no difference, diversities will start dissolving within your being. In your experience, there is no diversities. You can't understand the foolishness of these diversities. You can't understand why the foolish people are so much engrossed in me and mine. You can't understand what are these boundaries about. It's funny. I'm telling you, for me, it's very funny when somebody says, this is my path, this is their path, this is my practice, this is our practice. We do this, they do that. I say, what nonsense. Means it has not migrated, it has not evolved beyond yet the duality. So stuck in the gross. So when such gross people are told anything that is subtle, it is threatening to them. What nonsense. This is our way. This is the only way you can redeem. This is the only way you get moksha. Your theories. Where were you? All these centuries were you there? You're not there. But still, people ejected out of the system had moksha, liberation. How did they attain that? Oh no, our lineage is there from, it is eternally present somewhere. So you mean all the lineages that are connected till now, they just popped up? No, they are also connected. Somewhere it is coming. Every lineage is coming. So through some subtleness only. Everything, sometimes it is hidden, sometimes it becomes active, then it becomes again lupt ho jata hai, fir aata hai. All these things, sometimes it gets disconnected, sometimes it is revived. All these things have happened. You study history and you'll see all the lineages have come this. So somewhere there is a connection, but doesn't mean that only one line of stream of line only is the way. I will never agree to it because my experience, my consciousness does not show. It is very funny for me when somebody says only this marga, only this way. Then I look at, I say, "Arey, you're claiming that, fine, just look around at least. Are we so self-absorbed that we cannot see something outside? Just look outside your borders, boundaries, and you'll see so many Jivan Muktas walking around. You see in their histories, you'll see so many liberated beings. See in all the religions, see in Islam, see in Sufism, see in Sikhism, see in Christianity, see in any isms. You'll see liberated beings. Means something has worked for them also. How can I? At least now I must not have this ego and rigidity of saying that now only my thing works. Awareness इतना तो honesty दे अपने को, इतनी तो एक sincerity दे. अब इसको भी हम ये करके किसको बेवकूफ बनाए? If we say no, it's not, then that's your belief system, my dear. You have got into some belief, and belief for me is superstition. You got into some, stuck into some superstition where you're not able to see the macrocosm. You're not able to see the oneness that is there connected with everything. You're not appreciating every other being, every other path, every other religion the way they are. You're just coming and preaching to me about accepting everyone the way they, but you cannot accept that somebody else also is there apart from you. You're saying only you exist. What is that you? See, the biggest problem in spirituality is this you that says, I am different, I have an identity. This is what has been designed and described even in the Shastras as ego. Ahankar means I feel I am separate. I, my identity, me and mine. ये मैं बन गया, मेरा बन गया, ये मेरी चीज है. That is what even the Shastras are explaining as aham. And we are not getting that basic point. And we are talking of transcending the aham, being in the aham, and claiming the aham. It's funny for me. That's what I say. Many questions are unanswered yet. I mean, I have the answers from within, I know, but people themselves don't know. So when I question them, they might shoo me away, they might threaten me, they might try to crucify me, they might try to harass me, trouble me, but they will never address their own unanswered questions. And the more you come to me to trouble me in any way, the more I will ask questions. Answer me these things. Where is the diversity? How come the diversity? How can it be that only one way is the way? And if one way is not the way, what is the problem if any way? What should be the purest of intentions? My master only taught purest of intention. I have the purest of intention. What is purest of intention according to me? Now you tell me, if I am a follower of my master and if I have this kind of an intention that only through me, only through my platform, people should flourish. Nobody should go anywhere else. Nobody should look around anywhere else. This is the way that will redeem you. I told you about that female who met me from California in Pune retreat. She said, everywhere I go, they are telling, this is your place. Finally, you have come. This is your final redemption. You will get it here. And they are more abusive because they are looking out for something. And they say, this is the only way. All the religions have cut each other's throat just to prove that this is the only way. Still, we are not learning from that history. Now, even spirituality is turning into that. Toba, toba, I have given up even spirituality. Prefer to be just awake and aware. That's it. No, no definitions, any definitions. Why? Because this path that we choose of dissolving and crumbling down of all this falseness, this also is a falseness, and I have to let go of it. So, sitting with this, holding on to this, I cannot say give up your falseness. I have to give up my falseness first. So, these things don't matter. Even these titles don't matter. Spirituality, blah, blah, blah stuff. Nahi hai to bhi chalega. Give up all the right last thing also that you have held on to. So privately that we have held on to is mine. This is the only thing. The belief that I give it up. And I'm telling you, until you give up, you're not going anywhere. You cannot go with these things higher up. Because there means ultimately what we are talking, what is the destination? Nothingness. If you have to reach nothingness, you cannot carry everythingness with you, all variety, all kind of varieties with you, all delicacies, and go into nothingness. Because if you go with all the delicacies, you are somethingness there. And if you are something, you cannot become nothing. To become nothing, you have to shed off everything. Everything has to go. So this is crystal clear in me. But many ways I see it's very contradicting. It doesn't apply only. It doesn't make sense only. And there is no answers to it. I ask for answers. So, and many times justifying answers come again with another religious dogma to prove that. But still, that aham will be there. Some identity will be there. Some separate only will be there. Mine philosophy, me, mine will be there. Still, that heart has not blown out, not exploded into that oneness. So difficult it is, right? even even great spiritualists are struggling with it. You can understand the plight of this mind and ego. It's not so easy as it looks. So, any other questions? So, I hope we have answered today's quest of Who and what is preventing me from realizing the ultimate? It's me, my mind, my ego. Nobody else. And we elaborated it today into understanding how. I was listening to a beautiful song before I came up, and I think Shashi Kumarji, thank you so much. I think you have sent this to me. Beautiful. This is all the songs of Pandit Kumar Gandharva, and he's singing all of Kabir Das. हमको हमका उड़ावे निर्भय निर्गुण गुण रे उड़ जाएगा हंस अकेला द अवधूत भजन. This I loved it so much. उड़ जाएगा हंस अकेला. I never heard it much. I don't know this tune much, but the words are too good. I would like to just, because we are all come alone, we will go alone. That is what he sings here. So just give me 5 minutes. I might be in a different mood. Thank you, Kanubhai. I'm glad that you can relate to all this. I am not wanting to play this here because again copyright strike will happen. Because the moment it YouTube or Facebook catches something that is regular, it will hit a copyright. उड़ जाएगा. So beautiful. उड़ जाएगा उड़ जाएगा हंस अकेला उड़ जाएगा हंस अकेला जग दर्शन का मेला जग दर्शन का मेला. He says the swan will fly away all alone. And jag darshan ka mela, this spectacle of this world will just be a mere fair मेला. It will just be a fair जो आप देख सकते हो. जग दर्शन का मेला बन के रह जाएगा. उड़ जाएगा हंस अकेला. दिस इज द अवधूत भजन. जैसे पात गिरे तरवर से मिलना बहुत दुहेला मिलना बहुत दुहेला ना जाने किधर गिरेगा ना जाने किधर गिरेगा लगे आ पवन का रेला. So it says जैसे पात गिरे तरवर से मिलना बहुत दुहेला means just like a leaf falls from a tree and it's difficult to find where it has fallen. न जाने किधर गिरेगा. You don't know where will that leaf fall. लगे पावन का रेला means the gush of wind. Once it is struck with the gush of wind, we don't know where it's going to fall. So he says, just like the leaf falls from the tree, it is difficult to find where it is going to fall. With the gush of the wind, where it falls, we don't know. This is the samarpan that I'm talking about. This is the complete oneness, the surrender, where I'm saying, just vidhi rakhe, us vidhi rahi. Teri raza mein meri raza. The leaf is saying, Teri raza mein meri raza. It doesn't even bother. Where is it going to fall? It is going with the wind, wherever the wind takes it. So again it is saying, उड़ जाएगा हंस अकेला जग दर्शन का मेला. The world is just a speck of a play that's happening. That's all. But the swan will one day fly away alone from all this mela. It's talking about the soul. This is Kabir's song. And the next para says, okay, it says, जब होवे उमरपुरी, जब होवे उमरपुरी, जब छूटेगा हुकुम हुजूरी. Mean when the lifespan is complete and when finishes all the hukum huzuri, the yes sir, the slavery, when all this slavery ends, slavery to what? Karma. Hukum huzuri. We are always doing hukum huzuri to our karmas, our vasanas, our sanskaras. Internal, external. Internally, we are doing hukum huzuri to ourselves. Externally, also, we are doing to so many things outside slavery, what we explained today. जब होवे उमर पूरी, when the time is over, और जब छूटेगा हुकुम हुजूरी, when this also is a shed off. जम के दूत बड़े मजबूत, यम, yam he says jam. Yama is the lord of death. जम के दूत बड़े मजबूत means the messenger of Yama, the lord of death, is very strong. जम से पड़ा झमेला, यम से पड़ा झमेला means the messengers of Yama are so strong that you have got now entangled. उलझ गए आप यमा के साथ, यम के साथ, लड़ पड़ गए उसके साथ. छूटेगा नहीं इतना जल्दी. You are only fighting with the lord of death there. And again he is telling, उड़ जाएगा हंस अकेला जग दर्शन का मेला. And in the final para, one more para, he says, दास करी कबीर हर के गुण गावे. Das Kabir, Har ke gun gaave, means the servant Kabir, he's telling himself, is singing the praise of the Lord. वह हर को पारण पावे. Okay. वह हर को, हर means God. हर को paran pave means immediately he finds it. The one, the Kabir, the servant who's singing the praise, the glory of the Lord, he will immediately find that God, because he is constantly communing with that God. For us, what we discussed here, presence is God. So the one who is constantly in the presence, feeling the presence of the Lord, of that presence, of the awareness, one who is aware of the presence of the God, I am that I am, that one will find quickly the God. And then it says, गुरु की करनी गुरु जाएगा, चेले की करनी चेला. Das Kabir har gun gaave. The Das Kabir is singing the praise of the Lord. वह हर को परण पावे. He immediately gets God with no much difficulty. Then he says, गुरु की करनी गुरु जाएगा, चेले की करनी चेला. Means the guru will go according to his doings, his karma, and the disciple goes according to his karma. Are you seeing it? लेकिन हंस जाएगा अकेला, हंस उड़ जाएगा अकेला जग दर्शन का मेला. Kabir is singing this. He says even the guru goes according to his karma, his doings he goes. The chela goes, the disciple goes according to his karmas. But they go akela. उड़ जाएगा हंस अकेला जग दर्शन का मेला. So direct facts, and this is called as the Avadhoot Bhajan. Very beautifully. If you can just see this, this is sung by Pandit Kumar Gandharva. Kumar Gandharva. So one of our members, seekers here, he sent this beautiful उड़ जाएगा हंस अकेला. You can search this. Very nice bhajan. So Shashi Kumar ji, thank you for sending me this. And I was listening to this before coming live. I was enjoying it. So any other questions here? Otherwise, we can bring come to a stop here. Nitlakanti ji, thank you. So it's good. This kind of satsangs keeps us awake, keeps us alert, keeps us understanding, keeps us go deeper, more into. So we do whatever we do, but we do in awareness. Whether you do any technique practice, whether you don't do any technique practice, the whole ideology is how can you move from the doership to non-doership, and it has to be more effortlessly. Don't do anything prematurely when you're not yet ready. Don't try to discard anything. Don't try to induce or impose anything on yourself. That might be very difficult. Allow the time to heal. Allow the processes, whichever process you're doing, to heal and come out through that. And once you find the light of awareness is very sharp and you can use this as a very discriminative powers, then do more of that practice, because there also there is a practice. It doesn't mean that non-doership kuch nahi hai. There also you're practicing being alert and being awake, and the whole idea is to align with the cosmos. So that God that we call as God is nothing but cosmic intelligence, and that cosmic intelligence knows how to navigate. The whole cosmos is navigating automatically on its own. Humans believe and feel that we are doing something. We are doing nothing. Nothing. Even including all the great scientists and all the great advancement we claim of us. What advance? One small tiny planet. We are boasting so much. And I'm telling you, that planet is so tiny. It's like a speck of dust in this whole universe, cosmos. Speck of dust, It's like if there is a huge named, somebody named by God also, some huge being in that, like we have this presence. And see, exactly that is how it is. Now I am present in myself, the presence is there, and I am experiencing my microcosm and macrocosm. Same way that God factor, the Paramatman, this Atman is having this experience. Paramatman is having a wider, infinite experience. The Sat Purusha. Same awareness, same presence it is feeling, and it's aware of every all the universes are in this. So imagine that presence if it looks at our little boasting egoistic planet called Earth and or the earthlings. If you take the earth is a dust, and if you see the top bird's eye view of earth, we will not even know our existence, where we are on that earth. Not even a speck is available. We are microscopic on that planet earth. So you zoom back and see our existence is of no value. You zoom back from the planet and see it is becomes a tiny planet. You zoom back again and see it has gone into a speck of dust. And that being, imagine that being, if it had ego, it would have just stuck that speck of dust. You and our the claims would have all gone for a toss, just one like this. We are that insignificant. What are we claiming of knowing and knowing this secret and then any damn thing we have not known anything and we will not know. So that cosmic intelligence, imagine it is functioning so delicately and so beautifully without any interference. That which created this body, this whole play of consciousness, this whole thing called life, if that cosmic intelligence has the power to create, don't you think our stupid little small petty life it can run? Knowing the vastness of that God, of that cosmic creator, that is enough to humble us down and say, yes, there is miracles, every beauty here, there's God everywhere. Let that God run, even my life. That is how you shift into that kind of surrender. Martya, everything is happening around me, but I am not present in anything because I am only pure drishta of everything. But my search is for that experience. Who observe? The observer, that is a pure I. See, you need not search for it. The moment you say, my search is, you are not in that self. This is the mind and ego that says that I am in the search of something. Whereas what you are saying is the other way. If I am the witnesser and observer, there is no more search because you are that. You cannot search anything more. There is no search, there is no destination, there is nothing. That is when you live, that is called Jivan Mukta. You're liberated, you know you are that. I am that. You can say that I has to yet experience it experientially. There is no search, there's no finding. Because the moment you say finding, you are not in awareness. You are not in awareness. You have come down, shrunk down into the ego mind. So the mind wants to find out where is that person who is the pure I, due to through the concepts that we have been told right now. Whereas I'm telling the reverse. I'm telling that we are that awareness, we are the pure awareness, and we are that presence that is felt everywhere. So that observer, that witness mode itself is everything. Only thing we just need that experience. For that experience, we use all these methods or whatever. And sometimes you might get even glimpse of it, and that's enough. One glimpse is enough. That I am that extended self. So that search will end then and there. There is nothing to search. Now it is only to expand that experience. Hope this is clear. Thank you, Malaji. Thank you, Anita ji. Thank you, Ramesh ji. Thank you, Meera ji. Okay. So with this, we take your leave. I take your leave for this Sunday, and next live we will catch up whenever the time is right and whenever we feel the need for that. Good, Amartya. Thank you. So, with prayers that we all evolve and we all liberate, we all become free. Much divine love and light to all of you. Stay blessed. Oh, Preeti ji, you are there. Nice to see you. Anila ji, Punam ji, thank you. Nirlakanti ji, thank you. Kanu bhai, see you. Some of the well-wishers of this platform have kept some satsangs in Mumbai. That's going to be somewhere in March. 3 days they have kept it. 2 days in two different homes and one day in some hotel. And the fourth one is on a Zoom. That is all 4 days of activity that's going on, satsangs in Mumbai. So I'll be only updating it through the people who have signed up for these events. So if you are somewhere close around there, on those areas, you can drop in because it's a private satsang. You know, they have they have kept a private satsang, so it's by invitation only. So I'll just invite only the serious people who understand what we are talking here. So I don't want to disturb any other people because somewhere while talking to them, I came to know that they had put an open thing invite to somebody, and I said no, let's not do it. I don't want to disturb any other path people, any people who are following any religion, any path, any spiritual thing. I just don't want to disturb them. Let them be happy. Let everybody do what they're doing. It's all wholeheartedly acceptance. There is no conversions here. We are not trying to pull people here, add on followers, and all those things. We are not into all that nonsense. So it's just like those who understand the language, I'm just speaking it, and where we can exchange our energies and the concepts, the questions, the answers, and have more clarity. That's my work. That's all. So I'll just send to our internal team here. Priyanka ji, thank you, and stay blessed then. Bye.